All right. Gentlemen.
Where? Oh, here.
Okay.
Us.
Here.
Boys, lads,
gents.
Good to go.
We are good. What's up?
Good to go. It's a big Friday.
Friday night live stream night.
Friday. We lost Angelo. We went live 17 seconds in. He fell off the map.
Oh my gosh. Live TV.
It's better this way.
It's like Milton Berle. The show shows.
It's better.
Is he alive?
I'm not really sure.
We can't hear you.
We
can't hear you.
We got nothing.
Well, we'll just wrap while he's figuring out his technical issues.
He's going. He sent himself to the green room.
He did.
So we're here on a Friday with our extra special guests.
We got some good ones tonight. We're
and I see you're donning your proper apparel.
Hey.
Celebrate your win. Gotta support the team.
Wins. Lakers, Dodgers.
Yeah, but that's a Dodgers hat, right?
LA Mets.
So I'm only giving you credit for one win.
Hey.
We have 2 wins, but today we celebrate one.
Today's NBA free agency day, and and baseball's coming up again for hockey's coming. We're very excited.
Yeah.
Very excited.
There's a lot going on.
We're more excited because we'll be drinking tonight.
And tonight we got 2 very special guests.
We do.
You have a big table of whiskey behind you, which is very nice. I like seeing that.
Look, that's a barrel.
I like. Oh, it's on a barrel.
It's on a barrel.
See, the little name banner kind of cuts off for me.
Do you see the
what barrel is it?
It's a barrel from Delback Whiskey in Tucson.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, they my son goes to college there, so we'll take a trip out there, and then they go to the distillery, and they usually have a sale on barrels once in a while.
Sure.
And they adorn the backyard. Oh, Angelo.
Nice. Very nice. And then you cut them in half, make them into planters, right?
You can do whatever you want.
That's what some people do, right?
They have a lot of the restaurants there use them as exactly what I'm doing right there. No,
table seats.
Little end tables. Yeah. And then I have a large one with a 50. What's the big one? 35 gallon or 50 gallon. I have one of those too.
Yeah, I get copied in on a Blanton's. Buy Blanton's stuff.
Yeah.
And they sell the barrel half with the pre-cut holes to put the stoppers in, and a little polished section for a glass in their bottle. And you're like, oh, that's nice. If you had like a little presentation bar you wanted to put it on.
Yeah. The problem is here it's so damp out because we're so close to the beach that these things get destroyed during the year. So
you can't leave outside. Right?
It's weird. They last out in Scotland, but not here. Yeah, we hear you.
Hey, all right. Good.
Hey,
you're back.
Finally.
Should we roll the credits?
We should roll the credits.
Not the credits.
The show. Not the credits.
Roll the credits. We're done.
We're done. Good night. Try safe.
It's in the cake. Good night.
Good night.
Welcome to the murder table.
Cheers.
Salud. Oh, cheers.
Oh, cheers.
Salud. Sir,
Cheers.
Cheers. Slunch. A caipirinha.
Like Martinelli, but as you said, with a kick.
We do a little swirl.
Or Zat.
Appetizer. That makes me sad, but you know what makes me happy? Whiskey.
Cacao. It's everything I thought it would be and less smelling.
Hello?
Hey,
we're back.
Now we started the show.
Okay. All right.
That first part was practicing.
Yeah, exactly. That was just
doesn't really count.
All right. So we got a couple guests.
We do.
We got some dear friends. We got some dear friends. Our good friend Susannah Skyver Barton and our other friend Johanne Whiskey Lassie McInnis.
Hey, she has a middle name.
She does. We like people with 3 names.
We do.
Do you think she went to the Canadian courts to have that actually changed to her middle name?
I think so.
Probably.
I don't know.
They don't even have courts there, do they?
They're so polite.
You just declared.
Okay, fine.
Hey, you're
She
fine.
just declared it.
Hey, the park, you can take it whenever you want. It doesn't matter.
I don't think Canada's like that, but okay.
Well, we're going to find out. We're going to find out.
Cards and letters. Cards and letters to those 2.
That's right. Send them all you want. Theme? There's no theme.
We have a theme.
I think it's whiskey with friends. That's our theme.
That's our theme.
How about that?
Visiting old friends from the whiskey fabric.
There you go. Old friends and new whiskey. How about that?
There you go. And you like your shirt. The whiskey fabric shirt.
It's Friday Night Flights. That's what it is.
Friday Night Flights. I love that.
Should we bring them on or leave them hanging even longer?
Bring them on.
They probably are sick of the food in there.
Should we do Canada first and then New York, or New York and then Canada?
Bring them both. It doesn't matter.
All right.
We don't want to see any fighting, that's for sure.
All right.
Do we?
Hey!
Look at that. Look
All right,
at
so she
that.
gets to center square. You go there.
This feels
And
very
then
Brady
we'll put
Bunch.
Aaron there. All right, that's good. That works.
There.
Okay,
Wow.
You happy now?
Hi,
Ladies, how we
ladies.
doing?
Am I in the spot for Cindy Brady or Jan?
I'm not really sure.
I'm out.
Marsha.
And as usual,
Aaron,
I'm Alice.
Aaron.
Yeah.
Alice!
Cheers, guys.
Cheers, everybody. Cheers.
Hey,
Happy Friday. Happy Friday. How are we?
What are we starting with, by the way?
I have some. I'm believing starting with the good stuff. Glenmorangie 25.
Ooh, I think I have one of those too.
Damn, you went big. What do you got? Ooh,
Black
bottle.
bottle.
Ooh.
Very nice. I am going to do a little Waterford.
Oh, Waterford.
Oh, nice.
A
Nice.
little Waterford. Yeah, a little sample.
I've got the Featherbone bourbon.
Very nice.
Journeyman.
I have a single
Very
barrel
nice.
Crown Royal.
Oh, very nice.
Oh, is that in honor of
Just
Canada?
to make
It
sure.
is.
Yes.
It
Just
is.
for Canada.
That's a suck up.
Just-
Where's
can't even
where's
get that
your
here.
single barrel Canadian whiskey, Joanne?
Yeah, exactly. We don't
can't
even
get
get
those
that
there.
here. What the heck?
Yeah, that's a U.S. export only.
Yeah.
we get them in and we export it out.
All right, so let's go back to that again. Cheers, ladies and
Cheers.
men.
Ding.
Cheers.
There you go.
Wait. Oh, wait.
Oh, here.
There you go. There you go.
There we go.
So,
So good.
how long have we known each other? That's a good
2013.
question. 2013.
Roughly.
Roughly.
I
Yeah.
looked back. I went all the way back and looked. I'm prepared. I know all the answers.
Was that
All
Jubilee?
the answers.
Was that the Jubilee? That's
Yes.
the time we
Yes.
met.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
And,
I-
and you
When
were kind
Jubilee was
enough.
in the basement, right?
In the basement. Yes, in the basement. Yes.
It was
I have so many
memorable.
memories of that. Gosh.
The stairs up and down.
You know, I was
Mike
just going to
loves
say,
chairs.
what's his name? Peter the dentist.
Oh, Peter Silver?
Silver.
Oh,
Peter
yeah.
Silver.
And I'm walking down
Wow.
that stairwell, and he's going up that stairwell, and he's got this huge backpack,
Mhm.
and
Full
there's,
of
like,
his
no-
sample bottles.
Exactly. Exactly. I'm a name dropper. Even if I get
Oh, I went to
That's
Peter's house. He lives out in Bayonne or Elizabeth or somewhere, kind of North Jersey, but like middle of nowhere, North Jersey. For North Jersey. And but he has a backyard, so I went over there in the summer when the weather was nice, and he let me pick anything from his shelf to open.
Nice.
And we opened a lot of things that added up to hundreds of years worth of maturation. And tragically, a lot of them were, well, the new ones were fine, but bottles that had already been open for some time, a lot of them were, it's not corked when it's whiskey. What do we call it?
Oxidized?
Oxidized.
turned.
Oxidized,
Yeah.
totally spoiled. It was
Oh,
so
no.
tragic. It's just like, beautiful whiskeys at one time, and he was upset and I was upset, and we had to open a new 30-year-old, Glen Grant to console ourselves. So
Oh,
tough.
the whiskey tears are running down.
Hey, question. Any fillings or cleanings or just dental checkups while you drank?
Yeah. Did you
No,
get free dental
no.
work? Oh.
No, this
No?
was purely a social visit. But the point of this story is to encourage you all to visit Bayonne and look up Peter Silver, and he has two really cute little rescue Frenchies, and hang out with him in his backyard because it was a good time.
Not affiliated with the tourist
All right,
board
well,
of Bayonne, New Jersey.
Sheila and I are going to drop off now. We're heading up to Bayonne.
Hey, maybe we could see Robin too while we're up there.
Hey.
We'll go visit Mr.
Not
Robinson.
too far, yeah.
Oh, he was up there. That's right.
Oh, there's a name drop.
Robin has
I
a
just name
nice
dropped.
backyard too, and he has chickens.
Does he
He
really?
has chickens. He has a
Really?
He
great.
does.
We like his
That's
whiskey
funny.
room. He has
This is a
great
very
whiskey
educational
Yes.
program. I gotta start taking notes.
room. We're actually the PBS of whiskey TV.
See?
This is really the only reason I live in New York City is to drink other people's collections of whiskey that are much better than mine.
Hey, that's all right. It's not what you have; it's who you know.
That's right, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So, ladies, let's start from the beginning. How did you guys get into this whiskey nonsense?
First of all,
lost
it's
a
not
bet.
nonsense.
A bet.
I lost a bet with
I
the
lost a bet.
devil.
Lost a bet. No, I hope my mom's not watching. Good God.
You're assuming people know who we are.
Exactly.
Or have computers.
Nobody knows who we are.
Right.
Nobody knows who we are.
Well, in our igloos, when we have Wi-Fi up here, I'm just saying.
In Narnia.
In Narnia, my dad drank something called Gibson's 12, and it was pretty much the only thing he had in the liquor cabinet, which was like a drawer under the kitchen sink or something. And some of the boys at school dared me to steal alcohol and bring it to a school dance.
Wow. That's
So
really a backstory.
I could have been the gin something or
Gin
the
lassie.
well, I don't know, maybe
If you
not
grabbed a different
lassie.
bottle.
Yeah, but it just so happens it was whiskey. And when we got to the dance and we were all standing outside in the back parking lot in the back of a car, everybody was pulling out like lemon gin and vodka, and I don't remember 90% of what was out there, but I didn't like any of it until I got to the whiskey, and I really like the smell and I really like the flavor, so I just sort of stuck with it.
Smart lady.
Yeah.
Did you say how old?
I was
15?
I don't know, I was 16. 16.
That's fine.
Ish.
Did your friends double dog dare you? Then you had to do it. I mean, you had to.
You got to. It's the law.
I didn't, but it was a double dog dare. I had to do it.
And I was too polite because I'm Canadian, right? So I mean, I had to do it.
You know,
So-
speaking of polite Canadians, Aaron had me watching Letterkenny. They're
Yes.
not very polite.
Yeah, I was gonna say
No.
that.
They're not polite at all. They're pretty rude, actually.
They're the rednecks of Canada.
That's right.
That's what they sort of represent, is kind of like our own little weird redneck culture, which does exist in a lot of our
Redneck
provinces.
is universal. Okay.
Well,
It is.
I wouldn't want to say, I didn't want to be disrespectful by any means.
rednecks.
I'll
No, but
apologize
it's true.
now to all rednecks everywhere watching, but
Look, I'm from Agrigento, Sicily. It is the Alabama of Italy.
Of Italy. Hey, Sammy.
hey, Sam,
Hey, Sam.
Hey, Sam.
happy birthday, a little late.
Oh, happy
Aw.
belated.
I mean, I wasn't supposed to say that out loud.
That's all right.
All right, Susanna.
I
what
don't
was
pay
your
attention
first,
to anyone's birthdays.
That's nice. How about your
It's all
husband?
good.
I do pay attention to his.
Good job. Excellent.
Smart,
Just checking.
smart move.
So
Is he
where
working?
did you start with this whiskey nonsense?
The first time I had whiskey, I did not like it. I was 20, 21 and visiting my friend. I was living in France at the time, and I was visiting my friend Helen, who's Scottish and who had been an exchange student at my college the year before. And we stayed at her parents' house, and her dad poured me some whiskey and said, you work your way up. And he started me on Famous Grouse, and I drank it, and I said, I don't think I need any more.
No.
But it was like an inoculation, because a few years later, when I moved to Scotland myself, I said, I need to have a hobby instead of just like studying all the time. And I joined the Water of Life Society of the University of Edinburgh, and I was hooked. The first
Wait.
tasting was free. They
Back that up.
do get you that way.
What is that
But-
called again? The Water of Life
Water.
Society?
You thought it was something
Yes.
else, right? You thought it was like a
Oh.
religious cult?
So the first
I
taste
was
is free,
there.
and then
I
you're trying
was
to
there
score
doing
Scotch.
doing a master's of theology, but it was like I had one
See?
kind of spirits during the day and
So
another
you really
kind at
are
night.
spiritual.
She's very
Extremely.
Spirit
In
and
every
spiritual.
possible sense of the
Theologically.
word.
Nice.
Alcoholically.
And this is
It's funny.
God's work. It's God's work.
The whiskey club by far drew like the largest proportion of its membership came from the divinity school. Do not ask me what it is about
God
reading
bless
the
him.
Bible and
God's
studying
work.
religion all day. But everyone had a bottle of whiskey on their study carrel, and we all got together for our tastings on Thursdays. And, it worked out well for me. I thought I was going to do a PhD, and instead I just decided to keep drinking
Keep
whiskey.
drinking. Wow. So how does these two events in your lives, how does that get into like blogging or where was the next step for both of you guys?
Go ahead, Susan.
Well, like I said, I thought I would do a PhD, and I came back from Scotland. They kicked me out because my visa ended.
Banned.
And
Oh, it
came back
wasn't
to
the
New
grades?
York.
And it wasn't the drinking, it was the grades? Oh, the
No, I
visa.
got my master's degree
Grades. She had a
Oh,
master's
okay.
degree.
with, with whatever, whatever they call the honors. I don't even fucking remember anymore. Can I
Yeah,
cuss on this?
go crazy.
Better
Cards
tell me
and
now
letters.
if I
We
need
have
to
a
keep my
SSB.
language clean.
We have a
Yeah.
7-second
Cards and
delay.
letters.
That's all right.
Fine.
It's a family show.
Put your money in the swear jar.
We're all drinking. Okay.
All right.
All right. I'll put some money in the swear jar and then donate it.
No, just
No. Put whiskey in the swear jar.
exactly.
We've got money.
Your money's not good.
Mail
Anyway,
all
I moved
samples
back
to
to New
Angela.
York.
Joanne's not. Her money's not good.
I had
Moved
a
back to
day
New York.
job and I wasn't happy in it. It was fine. I was working for a nonprofit, but it wasn't what I wanted to do. And I said, what do I want to do? Well, I really like that whiskey thing. And I like writing. And I had started, there's no money in my business. I'm about to tell you how I became a journalist. And if that's a story about rags to riches, then we're not living in the same universe. No, I started this blog that was partially whiskey, partially food, and joined Twitter and connected with fine people like Joanne. Joanne was one of my very first kind of like Twitter friends, Twitter connections, and I don't, from there I kept blogging and drinking and trying to learn as much as I could. Oh, don't pull my blog up. I haven't updated it in like 4 or 5 years. It's very,
4.
very, very outdated.
Sorry.
I don't. It does not get updated anymore. But it started me on this journey, and so gosh, I'm really taking a long time to tell this. Let me sum up. So blogging, I got some freelance writing opportunities. I wrote for the Village Voice for a while. Then I got a full-time job working for M. Schenck Communications. First for Market Watch, which is their trade publication for the alcohol retail and on-premise industry. And then a few years ago, I added Whisky Advocate on top of that, which was a very lucky happenstance. Thank you. So now it's full-time.
It's a real job.
It's a real job. I do get a paycheck for, at least in part, drinking whiskey, which is pretty great. But there's a lot more to it than that. I promise. Everyone was like, wow, it must be great all day. You're just drinking whiskey and like telling
we
people
saw
what
you
you
in
think
action.
about it.
Aaron
That's a
and I
tiny
saw you in
bit
action.
of the job.
We did.
We saw you in
Wow.
action at Kiddish Fest.
Oh,
was
that's
working it.
right. Yeah.
That's
You
right.
were telling the noobs or whoever they were, your new writers, saying,
right.
look, this
Oh,
is
my
what we want.
ducklings.
Cracking the whip. It was good.
So kids, all the kids out there watching, this is how you can get into the whiskey business. There's like 7
It's
or
a
8-year-olds
weird-
wondering how we're going to get in.
No.
No, my best piece of advice for people who want to like work and get their way into something, anything, my best piece of advice for anything is look for opportunities, learn to recognize them, and just say yes. Don't say no to anything. I mean,
Right.
within reason, but like there were lots of times something came my way and I thought it was scary and I was freaked out by it, but I decided that I wasn't going to get anywhere if I didn't at least try. So,
And here
just
you
say
are.
yes. Just say yes. Just say yes. I learned that from my improv classes when I was 14, and it served me well.
Wow. Yeah.
Improv, theology, whiskey. Well, I
It
see.
really,
That's
it's all
that makes
encompassing.
sense.
Makes sense.
All right, Miss Canada. How did this get
Miss
to
Lassie.
Miss
Miss
Lassie, how
Lassie.
did you get to where you are today? What was
Mostly
the,
happenstance and
Really?
naivete, if I can use that word, to be quite
Sure.
honest.
well, we
Good
don't know what it
fancy.
means, so it's
Oh,
fine.
me neither. I can't even spell it.
I'll have to look that up later.
Yeah, I was trying
Google.
to find some really big words.
Is
to try
naivete
to
the
use.
same as dumbass?
Maybe.
Maybe.
Okay.
We don't
I
know.
like that.
That's a
I
good
like that
point.
better.
Somebody Google that shit.
After the N, what's the next letter?
Right. The
I.
It's I.
I'm just not really sure.
I don't know. So basically, I started drinking whiskey really at a young age. Then I went and like did this thing where I got married and had children, and my whole life was put on hold for 42 years. No, probably more like 10-ish, until the children, could make their own peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and I'd come home from work and there'd be nobody in the house to have to cook supper for, which was really cool. So I kind of started drinking a little bit more because I had teenagers at that point.
That'll do it.
Yeah.
That'll do it.
Yeah.
Andrew, were we supposed to wait 10 years?
No.
You're men. I'm just going to point out here
What does that
that
mean?
you're men. And this is
What does that mean?
the story of a mother
Oh, that's true.
who probably did a lot more childcare than
Oh, God, I shouldn't be involved in
the
childcare
partner
now.
in your life.
Continue.
And this is where I add the disclaimer. I hope my youngest daughter is not watching, because I really started drinking whiskey when she turned a teenager. And the main argument almost every day was, one of us is not going to make it to our next birthday. So
Turning 101 on Booze Dancing TV.
yeah,
Oh, Canadian violence.
yeah,
Canadian Dateline.
yeah. She's a lovely person. She really is, especially now that she's an adult and she has her own children, which is
And
a
I'll
lot
live
of
with you.
fun. But at the time, anyways. So then when I got a little bit more autonomy, I started going to whiskey tastings, and it just so happened there was one tasting in particular that I really, really enjoyed. So I asked to join the club, and I was advised that it was a men's only club.
Yeah.
And so I kind of went, I'm sorry, what? And went, oh, yeah, right. Okay, sure. I don't even know what that means. And then went home and formulated a plan to start my own whiskey tasting society.
Wow.
So
Impressive.
that's how that started. So my partner at the time and myself and his dad and a few other people just put out a call to just, does anybody else want to kind of like start a whiskey tasting society? And the next thing we knew, we had like 40 people, and my partner and I kind of looked at each other and went, I think they think we know what we're doing. So we educated ourselves really quickly at that point and started doing a lot of research. And it just so happens my educational background is organic chemistry, chemical engineering technology, distillation. So it just sort of all melded together.
Yeah.
And I became Whiskey Lassie because of a lady in Saint John, New Brunswick, who was doing a wonderful women's weekend, and she wanted to do something different. So she approached me to do a whiskey tasting for women. And she was like, we're all on this thing called Twitter. And I was like, what?
It'll never last. It'll never last.
That's right. I was like, I
It's just a fad.
I don't know what that means. Yeah. So anyways, this woman was in her 70s at the time, and she taught me how to get on Twitter. And said and she was adamant. She was just like, okay, you got to find a handle that really represents who you are in the whiskey world and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, whiskey world? I mean, I live in Saint John, New Brunswick. I don't even know what that means. So, yeah, basically I
Yes,
don't
Sam.
even know where I came up with Whiskey Lassie. It wasn't taken, so I took it. And then the next thing I knew was a whirlwind of craziness. I think I was on Twitter maybe 6 months, and I started traveling the world and meeting people and going to whiskey festivals and presenting and then writing. And then it just got bigger and bigger, and blogging and more and more and more and more, and judging and more travel, and then Scotland, and then it just got bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's kind of like my personality. I'm 5'2", but the personality is 8'5". So
You're only 5'2"? You seem formidable.
That's metric.
yes, that's metric.
So,
I wear heels.
Joanne,
a lot.
I feel like something that has been evident to me in the time I've known you, and it's from the way you tell your story. I sense it in the subtext, is you really are almost this little fulcrum for, whiskey things happening, whiskey people, or you're, like a bright light. Wait a minute, aren't you an engineer?
It's that thing in the back of your throat.
Fulcrum.
It's that little thing that hangs out way in the back.
You're
a
the
catalyst.
light. You're the lamp. You're the beautiful lamp. You know, and
She's a catalyst.
all these moths and
The whiskey balls.
and things
The
come to
whiskey
you.
balls
I don't know,
flying around.
Don't get
I'm very
too close
awkwardly
to the
trying
light.
to pay a compliment to say
Thank
I think
you.
that your passion and your combination of passion and drive and good organization, which I can only assume comes from the fact that you're a
There's Sam's
scientist.
word. She's the whiskey nexus.
A nexus. There you go.
I just took that Twitter handle off.
I
It's
was
gone.
just, damn. I was gonna say, I got my new Twitter handle.
Woo! You beat.
I credit you with a lot of my early whiskey journey because I feel like very early in my time, obviously we connected on Twitter. There were a few people. There was like you, Josh Feldman,
Oh yeah.
Allison Park, you know, and Davin DeCurgamo. And it was kind of right around the time that his first book came out, if that is his first. Well, Canadian Whiskey, the guide that he wrote. And with him, you organized these epic tweet tastings that were, fun because we tasted whiskeys, but also really, it was like a little book club and education session all in one. Like I learned so much from not only reading his book, but the fact that there was then this reinforcement of it with discussion with, the fabric at the time, the whiskey fabric at the time. And I will always be grateful for that because now I know more about Canadian whiskey than the majority of American whiskey drinkers.
Yeah.
And I love to lay down, and school them on what they get wrong in a nice way. But it's still,
way, of course.
I agree. It
was misunderstood 6 or 7 years ago, and it's still misunderstood.
I was in part of those couple tweet things with Davin and Johanna, and I thought they were so interesting because I had no knowledge of anything besides Canadian Club, and that's probably not much knowledge, right?
Cromwell.
And it was the book was great. It's when I have a question, I go to the book on my shelf because
I still use it as a reference all the time.
I do too.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys got to get the new book.
I saw these.
The one about the Canadian distilleries, all the craft distilleries. Yeah, I do want to get a copy of that.
Oh my gosh, it is.
The history is so
good.
cool. I think the history is really interesting.
Well, we're not a boring country by all means. I mean, we're a little odd.
I
but
never say that.
Yeah, just saying.
Whiskey Man book club. I'll admit, I would be a terrible book club member. I love books, but I usually don't like talking about them. But whiskey, I can talk about all the time.
So when you guys made this leap into these professional and non-professional worlds in the whiskey world, what did your family think?
My daughter's a drunk. No.
I come from a family of pretty strong drinkers. Like, most people are drinking beer or wine, not spirits. But I think it took them a while to understand it. But they think it's cool. My in-laws, I'm sure they'll never watch this. I don't know what my in-laws think, but I usually dial it down when I'm around them. I think they came over to my apartment sometime in the past year, and I think we're agog at the number of bottles that I have. But I don't, I have a lot of bottles, but I don't drink from them that often.
You say they're all full. Decoration.
Most of them are full,
Yeah.
honestly, because I end up with little sample bottles, and I'm like, I need to drink through those, and then I try to, I'll kick like a full-size bottle every 3-4 months. I mean, it just takes me, I don't drink heavily. Hopefully, I don't drink heavily.
You would probably know. Oh, we are moving on.
Round two?
Is that Mile Green?
I moved on.
Nice.
Oh, wait.
I had to text for reinforcements.
I doubt anybody knows this one.
What is that?
It's called Whiskey
what is that?
Agency.
I like the label, the horse racing.
His labels are always amazing. Always.
What is
Oh,
This is
that's cool.
Yeah, it's my friend Igor. So it's got race horses
Igor.
and a locomotive and a man with an umbrella floating in the air.
I love
And
that.
Sure, why not?
yeah, this is a 26-year-old Speyside secret distillery. And it's
Any
absolutely
guesses?
stunning. I think it's Glenfarclas, but
Ooh,
Mm.
let's
I
share,
don't
I'm
yeah.
going with the Nika.
oh, that one's I
The
know
Oh,
Coffee
that.
coffee
grain?
grain. So
Mm.
reliable. So
This
good.
is not. This is getting worked.
So consistent. Yeah, thanks for
I
breaking
moved
that
on
out when
to
I
have
come over.
What?
some Ben Riach's new, the 12-year-old. Has anyone else had the new Ben Riach?
No,
No.
I
I saw the
haven't.
bottles.
Is it
though.
good?
Yeah.
Highly recommend. They have now 10 Smoky 10, 12, and Smoky 12. And I was a huge fan of the old Ben Riach, the regular 10 and the Curiositas and the other like crazy bottlings that they did for a long time. I know they're trying to sort of streamline it. And they're all really good. I mean, it's definitely still Ben Riach. It hasn't changed all that much, but the texture of these whiskeys is really soft and velvety. Highly recommended if you like a mouthfeel whiskey. These all have very good mouthfeel.
It's got a little oiliness to it, or
I would call it less oily and more creamy.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah,
I can get into that.
definitely
I think
feels
I'll
like
look
fattiness in there.
This is
Which Jubilee bottling is that?
2013 Heaven Hill.
Nice.
Calm down.
Nice.
Almost
We're out to the Wayback Machine.
Wayback Machine.
Wow, I can't believe there's that much left.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Gonna have to put some argon gas in there so it doesn't
know.
oxidize.
Or just
That's
drink
Who
it.
knows?
I could drink it too.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
good idea.
Again, I got
Throw
it.
it back. That's a single pour.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
Lord.
one long pour. All right, here's a big question for you guys. Now that we're changing whiskeys,
Uh-huh.
what's your favorite pizza topping?
What now?
Pizza?
What's your favorite pizza topping?
Anchovies.
Non sequitur?
Anchovies. I like anchovies.
Anchovies.
No.
But nobody will have
Mush-
them.
mushrooms or
No.
sausage? Ideally,
Mushrooms are
both.
good.
Angelo
There you go.
knows. Angelo
There you go.
knows. If you put anchovies on a pizza, nobody will touch your
It's
pizza.
true.
It's an,
That's true.
it's an
Because
Italian
there's
thing.
anchovies on it.
It's an
You know,
Italian
if-
thing.
I like
I have a
anchovies.
question about
On your
anchovies
pizza,
on a
nobody will eat
pizza.
that either.
This is a sincere question. What's the distribution of anchovies per slice? Because anchovies are really salty,
I
and
think
pizza's
one per
already
slice.
pretty salty.
One per
One per
One per
slice.
slice?
Two.
Yeah,
Oh,
but you
Joanne
do
wants
long.
2? Okay.
No.
2%.
Zero per
Do you
slice.
put anything besides the anchovies on there to kind of balance the salt?
I have never done it personally. I've only ordered it out because no one's going to eat it here. So
Yeah.
usually it's just tomato and cheese and 3 kinds of cheese, sauce, homemade dough.
What are the 3 kinds of cheese?
Parmesan, Pecorino, and mozzarella.
I was just wanting to hear you say it. And
Oh,
Yeah.
Pecorino, mozzarella.
All right, bonus question. Is pineapple a topping
No.
for pizza?
Yeah.
Sam says
no.
Sam,
I mean, look,
look at Sam. Jump right in there.
Sam's
no,
trolling us.
No, Sam, no,
Sam-
no.
Sam's 100% trolling us. Look, I'm not
No.
here to tell anybody. It's just like whiskey. I'm not here to tell you how to eat your pizza. I'm not here to tell you how to drink your whiskey. But
We
if you're
appreciate
drinking
that.
Fireball, you're ordering pineapple on your pizza and vice versa. I don't make the rules. That's just how it is.
I think I saw that on the Domino website.
There you go.
Yeah, it's on there.
Cards and letters. SSB.
You know what though? I had pizza in Maine. There's a place up in Kittery. It's called When Pigs Fly,
Mm-hmm.
and they do a pizza. It's got like jalapeno and pineapple and prosciutto and all this crazy stuff. It is a pretty fantastic pie.
Wow.
So it's pretty crazy. If I
I
find
I mean,
it-
I buy it that pineapple and prosciutto would go well together because you
oh,
think like
absolutely.
Yeah.
pork
Yeah.
and luau's and
Wow.
stuff like that. But
Not on
not
pizza.
on a pizza with cheese, with sauce, hot, melty, bubbling. No, don't do that to yourself. Love yourself. Don't hate yourself. You deserve better.
You're better than that.
I reserve my pineapple for my rum cocktails. Thank you.
There you
Oh.
go.
Or
Tiki
my
cocktails.
smoothies.
Yes.
That's it.
I gotta find the pizza recipe. I'm gonna find it.
You do
Oh,
that.
here we go. It's
And then
red
somebody
sauce.
put him in the green room.
He's got to put himself. He put himself away.
Finally.
He's gone. Wait.
I thought he would
Lock
never
him
leave.
out. Lock him
Thank
out.
Okay, now
God
we can
he's
talk
gone.
about him.
He will not shut up. God,
Oh my
Lord.
God! Like he talks so much, I just
Endlessly.
don't understand.
Yeah, Mike
like,
and I do this every week. It's crazy. It's nuts.
That's why I drink. I never drank before I met him.
Oh, whatever.
Oh, he can
Whatever.
still hear us.
No.
Oh, that Angelo. What a guy.
He's the best.
Yeah.
Cheers.
best.
Cheers. Whatever your name
Cheers
is.
to Angelo.
Joanne, is your glass like frosted?
Yeah, what is
Is that why it
That's
looks so dark? I thought
What
you were
is that?
drinking Coke before.
No, it's a black. Wait, where's my camera? Good God, it's
What's
a
a
black
black
bottle
bottle?
glass.
Oh,
cool.
that's so nifty.
Oh, hey,
Thank
that's
God,
a
I
good.
thought you were
like
drinking
that.
sludge.
She's having the lock do.
Yeah, she's having.
Oh
She's
my
drinking a
God.
glass of black
Wait,
bar.
raise your hand if you have had Ladu.
Yep,
Never.
I have.
Angelo, back in the green room.
No.
Gone. This is a
It's
lock
really-
do party.
But
You're
they
mean.
tell you how bad it is. It's really not that bad.
Never had it.
Oh,
Honestly,
Mike, where did you have it?
But there's
One of
worse.
the extravaganzas they had it.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah. I think I had it there too.
So I had it just as like a dare, just to see how bad it was. But they say how bad it is. I mean, it's bad, but it's really not that bad. I've had worse stuff.
I
Mark
think I was,
Gillespie can attest that we had a really bad whiskey together when he was in New Brunswick last year. I don't remember where it was from, other than it smelled like Danish cheese, Danish
Oh.
blue
Ooh.
cheese. It was
What?
disgusting.
where,
I can't-
where was it made? You know, the country?
Denmark?
Oh, it was Denmark. Okay.
I don't know.
Wow.
It reeked. I mean, even Mark. I think Mark sort of turned a lighter shade of green. Like he was just like, oh, this is interesting. Like just. But,
Oh wait,
It
were
was
you
bad.
tasting it in front of the producer? No.
no. It was just a guy.
Oh,
we
okay,
do this
okay,
thing.
okay.
It's we have a thing. I don't know if you guys do it in your festivals in the United States, but across Canada we have Whiskey Fabric get-togethers, and it's like everybody crowds into either somebody's hotel room or they actually will rent a suite just for Whiskey Fabric, and everybody just brings shit, like whatever. It doesn't matter. You can bring a Glenfiddich 12, or you can bring a 1966, Longmorn or whatever. It doesn't matter. Just bring whatever you want, and everybody just walks in and everybody starts talking. It's usually hosted by what we call the patriarch of the Canadian Whiskey Fabric, Emmett. I don't know if he's watching, but I'll say hi anyways. And we do this across Canada at all of our festivals, and it's all walks of life, newbies to people that we've known for years, to some brand ambassadors. It's just whatever you're drinking. And so one of our guys, he's a big influencer, and he won't like that I'm saying that. Hope he's not watching either. In the Montreal area. And he and his guys brought this god-awful whiskey just to prove how god-awful some of them can actually be. And it was, you'll never forget it. Like, it's just, yeah. You
dare you
literally
to
have
drink
to,
this.
like, brush your teeth after you put it in your mouth. Like, everything is just, it doesn't go away. It's just like,
I think we've all had that experience at like whiskey festivals where you're talking to someone nice, new company, trying their whiskey, and you just want to walk backwards and run, but you can't.
And,
just like-
and then I have a cigar because I killed whatever was going on in there.
there you go.
We start
Then I
over
just
again.
lick a cat. That's what I do. Because
Hello.
I mean, that's one way.
I don't smoke, so I happen to live with two cats. So that's pretty. No, that's why they're hiding. They know I'm drinking again. So
I think there was.
might go wrong, and then there's
Do
licking
bad
going.
things happen when you drink? Is that what your cat says?
yes.
I think there's more of that in the last
Welcome
10
to
years.
COVID.
What, undrinkable whiskey?
At festivals, because you have more younger companies with
Yeah.
younger stuff and less nuance to their production abilities.
I want to put in a word for young whiskey, and this is what I want to say. As a person who has tasted lots of young whiskey, lots of great whiskey, and lots of the entire spectrum whiskeys that I would not serve another person. Being young, I'm not saying young whiskey is equivalent to whiskey that's aged to maturity, but being young doesn't make a whiskey bad. You can be a good young whiskey.
No.
We would agree.
I don't know.
Yeah. And I think we've all probably had lots of really good young whiskeys.
And Sheila's drinking that now. That's
1,342
There you go.
days.
like 4 years old or younger.
I'll be
Pretty
right
damn
back.
good.
That
She'll
I
be, maybe
I appreciate
Sorry.
the experimentation, and sometimes the experimentation goes kind of off the rails. And it's young because they didn't make a lot of it.
There you go.
It just didn't work. It just wasn't
Very
good.
nice.
And
I
it's not because
totally
we're young;
agree.
it's because it didn't work.
I think the whiskeys that are actively bad are the ones where something went wrong in the production process.
I would agree.
Their fermentations were dirty, probably got infected, or they made bad cuts on the pot still, or what have you.
Wrong mix of grains, whatever it was. Yeah.
But simply being young, like I won't score a whiskey super high if it's really too young to be in a bottle. But I'm also, it's not a bad whiskey. It just needs more time. Just like people, if we cut whiskey slack the way we cut people that we care about slack, we would let them take the time they need to develop into more complete entities before we judge them, if we ever judge them at all.
So the fact that my wife calls me a young whiskey still, that's probably not good, right? That's
well, I don't know. It might mean that you're lively and have lots of heat and vivacity.
No, that's not at all.
You should be glad your wife is calling you young at all.
See, I was going to say, is this why I say a very inappropriate comment and say, is it because you're young wood?
Hey now.
Oh,
No.
First she was talking about licking cats. Now she's bringing up young wood.
Young wood.
That's all I'm going to say.
Virgin.
No, that's not it either. No.
Nope, just nope.
And that's why I usually drink by myself, crying most nights, but well, whatever.
Tell me your favorite whiskey festival story.
Whiskey festival story.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Falling asleep on the train ride home from.
Oh God, no! That was terrible.
That's not good.
That's
not good.
That was terrible. The trip to Keynes, going to Keynes was great.
Oh, absolutely.
The Keynes trip was fun when
when
Joanne snuck in to surprise everybody.
Aww.
Yeah.
That was
Anything
so
involving,
super fun.
Anything involving Josh's backpack and samples that he's not supposed to pour anywhere, but he decides to pour wherever he is.
That's every whiskey festival. That's the best story of every whiskey festival is just running into your friends who all have whiskey on their person somewhere. And they're like, oh, you got to try this crazy thing. And they'll pull it out and pour some in your glass. And you're sitting there and you're everyone around you is going for the Macallan. And you're standing there, having a wild Danish blue cheese whiskey. Even if it's terrible, it's exciting.
I never find myself doing that. I never go for the Macallan.
Yeah.
I never go for the Macallan.
Not bad. It's just
favorite festival stories was I went to Scotland. I don't remember what year it was because I was going pretty much every year there for a little while. It was fairly early on, so I'm going to say maybe 2014 or 2015. And I met up with this tall Dane who's 6'2" and used to be an Olympic swimmer or something. And we traveled
Wait, is this
around.
a whiskey story?
It is.
Are you sure? It's a whiskey story.
Or is this a letter in form? I'm really sure.
He was really tall, and I felt really safe traveling with him because he knew where he was going and he knew everybody. And we were on Isla. We were at Fage, as Julie Hamilton would say, Fage. And we were going to go hike up to the American Monument. He was like, all right, well, I'm going to be at Ardbeg, so just meet me, grab a pizza and a cardboard pizza and meet me at the cottage. We'll eat real quick and we'll go for a hike. I was like, great. So I showed up a little bit early. I'm sitting there at the table waiting. And in he walks in with his friend John, and he's like, "Pizza ready?" I'm like, "Yep." So we all sat down and we started to chew this cardboard $2.97 Tesco pizza. And all of a sudden John goes, "Oh, anybody want a whiskey?" And I'm like, "Sure." So he goes over to his bag and he pours whiskey and he puts it on the table, and we start, and we're literally like just not chugging it, but like you're eating pepperoni Tesco pizza, right? So you're just kind of like, "Oh yeah, this is really nice." Yeah. It pairs well with pepperoni pizza. And then my friend Stefan goes, "What is it?" And he walks over to his bag casually and he pulls out a Port Ellen 1978. And my face kind of like, I'm eating pepperoni pizza with a Port Ellen 1978. Like, I didn't know what just happened.
You just had the sideways
come
moment.
to find out, the guy has like one of the best collections of Port Ellens, and he just opens them randomly for people who love whiskeys because he doesn't care. Like, he just doesn't care. He's like, well, whatever. It's just. So that's probably my biggest, craziest moment as far as being at a whiskey festival. But I've had plenty of very strange experiences. Very, very strange experiences over the years.
Port Ellen pairs with everything. How about that?
Port Ellen's strange.
The another one is I won't name the distillery, but it has a worm tub, outside worm tub.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and there was a bunch of crazy Danes swimming in it one time, which was kind of a little weird.
It'd be a little weird. Sure.
There's something lost in translation when somebody was trying to explain to them what the tub was for. So
Not the jacuzzi. Not the jacuzzi.
It's not.
The Danish are really not coming off well in this conversation.
No.
By the way.
They're a
We're not
bunch
big
of
in
crazy
Denmark.
ass
Take it good, you
people,
take it
man.
bad.
And they love whiskey. They're crazy.
Was that whiskey you had you didn't like with the Danish cheese? Was that from that swim in the worm tub?
No, but that would make sense all of a
That would
sudden.
make a lot of
I will
sense,
have
really.
to ask Larry about that now. Did this happen to come from a distillery? Anyways, cheers.
I remember a story from that first Jubilee that we're all at. That it's not a good story.
Oh,
I stayed till the bitter end, and the hall was getting cleaned up, and I was waiting because I was going to go with Joshua and Jason to get a drink or something, and so I was helping them clean up, and I was in this long conversation with I think he was the rabbi from that synagogue.
oh,
And the place was empty. It was like a torn down, trade show kind of thing. And I saw Jason and Joshua kind of freaking out. And this was like this was the second show, right? And the company's just getting off the ground, and they were all upset about something. And it turned out that someone had stolen all of their full bottles that were in a box under the table. And they were looking all over for it. They were trying to accuse anybody because they know everyone was gone.
God.
It was, and for them then that was like their whole company was in that box, and it was horrible. They were it was a horrible way to end the evening. It was depressing.
did they ever find out what happened?
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know. That
Joshua,
Sheila!
you watched it?
Sheila!
Angelo was gone by then. He was and I remember you guys.
Box and ran.
And you guys had left too. You guys had left. I remember you guys left the building, and I said goodbye to you guys, and I went back in and watching the teardown and helping them out, and then it just got really sad. And they were looking everywhere. Wasn't there like an outside part of the venue, like for smoking or something, like a cigar place?
Outside on like a patio.
Yeah, and they thought maybe it got misplaced out there. Maybe somebody threw the box away. How do you throw the box away? But it had 12 bottles or whatever it was. In there. Yeah. Sorry to bring down the party. Yeah, that was weird. That was strange.
Well,
It was.
I had the most epic hangover for the next day. after that festival.
I had these 12 bottles from the society. And
it was so awesome.
No, I just remember I felt as sick as a dog. It was awful and embarrassing.
Really?
I've learned my lesson, but I was young back then. I was still in my mid-20s.
Pace is important.
I went the next night to Whiskey. What was the
Whiskey
other show?
Live. Was it Whiskey Live?
No, was it
No,
Whiskey?
what was it
another
called?
one.
Whiskey Live. No, Whiskey Fest.
Whiskey Fest.
Whiskey Fest. I went the next
Yep.
night to that. And
I did
Okay,
that
so
too.
you met someone there.
Who did I meet?
I don't know. You
lot
got.
of people.
I'm not doing it. You got to drop a name, man.
Who did I meet?
Me.
A lot of people.
I met a lot of people
a
at
distiller.
Whiskey Fest.
A distiller. I met the guy
He's
that
in
owned-
every single video. He's
I met
everywhere.
what's the guy with the beard from the Harvey? You know him, Susannah.
Oh,
he's
the
the
guy
buyer
from Jack Rose,
Jack Rose.
Harvey Fry.
Harvey Fry. Yeah, that was
Santa.
Santa. Yes. He was sitting on a chair and for the longest time and near Jason and Joshua's booth. And he looked like he was sort of like kind of sad and lonely. And I couldn't figure out why somebody's grandfather was here and why is he by himself? Why did they leave him there? That's not nice. Why did they leave him alone? It was kind of, and then I found out by Jason who this guy was. Holy God. And Jason tells me the story how he went to his house in Virginia, I guess that guy is where he lives. And his entire
think
house
so.
is just like bottom to top, sideways, everywhere. There's whiskey. And he said it was like walking into like this potential fire.
Oh my.
It was so much alcohol in this building, in his house. So it was kind of weird.
I'm genuinely
Oh.
worried about my apartment.
Yeah, well, I
But
can
my building
understand
is made of fireproof materials, so
that. Hopefully. Yeah, whatever.
My crawl
It's new
space is
build.
climate control.
Right.
I'm good.
I'm moving on to. I'm going from Scotch to bourbon, and I'm doing this for Angelo. Take the label off here. It's a Sicilian Amaro finished barrel.
Ooh.
Oh, very nice.
It's not a bourbon. Sorry, it's just whiskey. It's whiskey. I think it was used barrels, but
I'm at
that's
I'm at
for
Mill
the-
and Green's Rye.
Nobody drinks in LA.
What are you up to?
That looks like a Glen Rothis right there.
Oh, it's a hand grenade.
Yay!
Oh heck yes!
Very nice.
That's without my old lady glasses. Ha!
I gotta wear my old lady glasses all the time. I can't see anything.
I'm not too bad. I haven't moved on yet, but I just opened. Oh, where's the camera? I just
Other
opened
way.
this one.
Oh yum!
Oh, the Grand
yeah.
Cru. Oh,
Yes.
The one
nice.
where they can't say it's champagne casks. It's
That's correct.
cuvee casks.
Cuvée.
Hey, to be fair,
Aaron, where'd you go?
I went to Highland Park 15.
Heck yes.
I figure
That's a good
2020 drinking
discontinued
really
one.
great whiskeys because 2020 was a bitch.
It
So
was. It
Yeah.
was.
I think you should always drink really like life is too short. Don't drink whiskeys you don't like.
Don't.
Drink what you like.
Yeah, you have to like the whiskey you're drinking, and you have to like your operating system. Those are my 2 rules in life. That's it.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a little nerdy. Sorry.
We're again cards and letters. Aaron.
That's right. Bring them in.
yes,
Unless you're a Microsoft
whiskey
user.
samples. Angelo, cards and complaints. The other guy.
All right. Here's a big Here's the next big question. This is very important.
I got to bring you for a walk because my kitten is destroying something. My
Oh, cool.
apologies. No, not cool. He's an asshole.
Oh, here's a live animal question for you.
Oh, ooh,
this is a
ooh,
Canadian animal question.
Yes.
Have you heard of the raccoon whisperer?
What?
Is that the guy with the hot
Oh.
dogs?
Yeah.
Is that the guy with the hot dogs?
It's,
Oh
yeah.
my god, I love that video so much. But then I
Not-
look at those raccoons and I'm like, is this okay
He's had
for wildlife?
one of his
You lost me.
one of his videos has 11 million views.
He's Canadian?
That's because
Nova-
there's nothing
Nova
better than a
Scotia.
raccoon eating a hot
Oh,
dog.
really? That's
Look
like
him up.
my
Look
next
him up
door
on
neighbor.
YouTube. Raccoon whisperer.
Raccoon
I'm
Whisperer.
I'm telling you right now, late at night, if you had a hot dog between the fence and Gilo and I think you could whisper us too. It really wouldn't matter. Wouldn't matter. Hot dog.
If I've had a few whiskeys, if ever anybody hears me say the words "ooh, hot dogs," just stop, take everything away from me.
You
Alcohol.
fished your limit. You're over the top.
Yeah, I'm officially
I have never regretted a single hot dog I've ever eaten.
no, can't do it.
I love
I-
hot
I-
dogs.
that's a
I'll
great
eat a hot
question.
dog. I'll eat a hot dog any time of the day in any country from any level of sanitary type of
Okay,
hot dog
so-
vendor.
So the 7-Eleven, the wizard fingers, the things that come out like that have been spinning all night. You're still going for one of
It's
those?
not my first choice. It's not my first choice, but yeah, if I
Diamond
need a
Grace?
hot dog, it will do the trick. But you gotta have some
Kudos.
sharp mustard,
I'm right.
and
there with you.
ideally some
Enough
chopped
mustard's
onion.
good.
And if you're in the South, some chili, but only in the South.
Only in the South.
Chili dog.
Why?
Maybe bacon wrap it. You're good.
Chili dog.
It just doesn't taste as good. And okay, first of all, like chili at Nathan's has beans in it. No, that doesn't go on a hot dog. Maybe you can eat it with a spoon. I don't know. Don't put that shit on a hot dog. It tastes better in the South. You also have to have like, there are these specific kinds of like red dye injected hot dogs.
Oh.
Anyway, I love them. I think
You're
they're
supposed
delicious.
to
I eat
avoid
them
the red dye
at most
injected
once a
hot dogs.
year, but you know.
She's
But
the
I
whiskey
like to-
raccoon whisperer.
Yeah, apparently.
Hot dog.
Hot
I think
dogs.
so.
Red dye number 2.
Yum.
Barf.
You
Yum.
know, I'm not eating it in enough quantity to have it really affect my liver and spleen. So, I'm
Okay.
fine with it.
You're having a hot dog party, and you can invite 3 famous people. Who are you inviting to your hot dog party?
They have to be famous people.
Well,
Any
you'd like
3
to know who
people.
they are.
Well, I'm just trying to
Do
think who would appreciate a hot dog party the most.
Ben
Do they
Franklin.
have
Could
to
be
be
any
alive?
any
Is he
food at
dead?
all. Any food at all.
Yeah.
I'm assuming
All right.
alive or dead. All right,
Yeah.
Abraham Lincoln. I feel like he would be interesting at any party. No,
Big
let's just
hot dog fan. Big hot dog fan. Loves Hoppy. Little known fact. Loves the Hoppy.
So Abraham Lincoln, Sophocles.
Oh,
and-
that man. He could put away a hot dog.
Sure.
He could put away a hot dog.
Okay.
And Mary Queen of Scots.
Oh.
She knew from hot dogs. So
Wow.
this seems like a pretty
That's,
interesting.
What whiskey is
It's a bit
serving?
diverse.
What bottle are you opening for those folks?
Whatever they want. Sophocles
That's a
is
good-
not going to know what hit him.
That's a good
I
host.
should start him on something light.
Maybe
You know,
tomorrow
this is
thing.
my rule. You come to my house, any bottle that's open, you can drink from it. And if a bottle is not open and you really want to drink from it, you ask me nicely, and I happen to like you a lot, I'll open it for you. But I have so much open whiskey that most of the time I can dissuade people.
I can attest to this because I brought my daughter to your apartment, and you said we can have anything we want, but you have to ask.
Chilo, the boozemobile.
And we did. I don't even remember what we
Fire it
drank,
up.
but we did drink some nice shit when you came.
We did.
That was my old apartment that was not
Yes,
built
it
to
was.
fireproof materials, by the way.
Chilo,
Yeah,
you
we
can
weren't
be
And
there at
so-
10:30
three months before I moved out, there was a fire in that building. Coincidence? No.
I think.
Joanne, who's
Whiskey
your 3?
Lassie, what's your
Who's
answer?
your 3?
Who are my 3?
Yeah, who you invite over for the
3
hot
obscure
dog whiskey
Canadians.
party?
No one cares.
Gandhi?
Gandhi.
Oh, aren't you so special?
He's very easy to serve.
You think he'd
He's
wait?
he's
He wouldn't
vegetarian.
eat hot dogs though. He's
Exactly, vegetarian.
You'd have to
wouldn't
get
drink
soy
whiskey.
dogs.
Bun.
and
Okay.
he wouldn't
Bun
drink
and
any of the
whiskey.
whiskey.
Okay, sure.
Are we sure? Wait, are we sure he was a teetotaler?
We're not.
Do we know
More
that?
whiskey for
know.
me.
We're gonna assume.
India's a
Somebody-
big,
somebody Google
big
that shit.
alcohol drinking nation. Right? I'm gonna check it.
50-50. It's 50-50. I don't know.
Bun, and he's fine.
I would probably invite my grade 2 gym teacher because I had a really big crush on him.
That's a
Mr. Landry.
Weird.
Oh, boy.
A little weird. Okay.
This shouldn't come as a surprise. Come on now. Jeez. What else? Who else?
To
Who
the
else?
green room.
Right. Josh Feldman.
Aww.
Oh.
Yeah.
Drinking
'Cause
with
he can
Josh
eat a hot
Feldman. Drinking with Josh Feldman's a good thing.
It's an experience.
It's an experience.
Oh,
Yes.
just being around him
Experience.
was an experience. That was
Yes.
hilarious.
He's all right.
He is.
You know, you
Aaron?
haven't lived till you drink in a server room.
This is true.
This is true.
Aaron,
Yes.
We're not
Aaron,
going to say
where you
where.
Whom am I? Oh boy, I don't know.
Who are your
3
3?
people. Boy. Nixon would have been a good guy to drink with, I bet.
You think?
Yeah. Bet you get him liquored up, you get some good stories.
I give you the things. 8 minutes right here.
Probably not appropriate, but he'd
You
be
could
good.
probably haze the shit out of Nixon.
Oh, yeah.
if
yeah.
you got him
Although
drunk enough.
he was a Quaker. He probably didn't drink much. Let's see. Who else? How about Orson Welles? He would have
You think?
Oh, yeah.
That'd be
Good
good.
call.
been good. He'd be
And-
good.
And he knows everybody.
In his career, which era Orson Welles?
Well, I
Doesn't matter.
I probably not doesn't matter, but probably the skinny one and the fat one.
Perry
And-
Mason. Perry
Bring them
Mason.
both.
Perry Mason.
So skinny Orson Welles, Nixon, and fat Orson Welles. So your 3 are done.
Yeah, I'm pretty much done. Because fat Orson Welles has probably got like Uber Eats on his phone, and he's bringing in food like by the truckload. And skinny one is probably just really interesting.
Yes.
Yeah, kind of
A little
intellectual.
full of himself, though, maybe.
Gilo, where you going?
Ah,
3 people.
You can say me if you want.
Yeah, me,
You guys.
Aaron, and who else?
I don't. You know what? I don't need anybody else. You guys are all I need right now.
Oh.
You gals and you guys.
Well, Miss-
Uh,
Well, Miss America.
How's that for sucking up? How's that?
You're not gonna
no.
get anything from this, man. Like I don't know why you're
Oh, Miss
bothering.
America.
Hmm.
I think you got to throw. We got to throw like Thomas Jefferson in there or Washington
Why?
They were
both
rye
made
guys.
whiskey.
They were
They both
distillers.
made whiskey.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah,
Maybe.
maybe.
I think I want people that actually want to like drink and have a good time.
Yeah.
I
You don't
think they
think somebody
probably
likes to
drink.
drink and
They
have a
probably
good
do.
time?
Ben Franklin. How about Ben Franklin?
Okay.
Ben Franklin would be
Winston-
good.
He made a
Winston
fortune on
Churchill?
electricity. Yeah.
Winston Churchill.
Churchill.
Churchill would drink.
Churchill.
No.
You throw it back.
How about JFK?
Ooh.
Never drank. Didn't drink.
Was it
He
really?
didn't drink?
Never
What?
drank.
He's out.
Gone.
I
Teddy
know.
Kennedy.
I
give that
know.
shit for a
Teddy
minute.
Kennedy, you drink.
Frank Sinatra.
Oh, winner.
Still Jack
Right.
Daniels.
And
That's
Not
Dean.
hard.
great.
And
That's a
Dean.
party.
And
Well
Dean.
done, sir. Oh, and Dean didn't drink either.
No, he was like,
No,
he
come on.
drank like, he drank out.
He drank
iced
apple
tea.
juice. He couldn't
Yeah.
stomach it. He drank apple juice.
Well,
Bruce
it's
Campbell.
Frank
Teddy Roosevelt. Oh,
Bruce Campbell.
That's
That's a
well
reference.
done, sir. Well done.
Good.
Way to go, Sam.
Bruce Campbell. That's great.
Teddy Roosevelt, Franklin Roosevelt, Winston Churchill.
Really?
Mm.
I thought you were gonna pull
They
out
could
another
see-
Roosevelt that none of us ever heard of.
Eleanor.
Eleanor.
Not a party
Teddy
girl.
Roosevelt, really. I'm sure they're all good.
Not a party girl. Nope. Sorry.
Did anyone?
I mean, I
I-
think FDR was teetotaler until later in life because
I
for
go,
a long time there was prohibition, and I guess you weren't supposed to openly embrace alcohol consumption, even if you were a drinker. But then he got into booze, when he became president, and obviously
In the big
repeat
time.
happened. And he made martinis for people, and they were apparently like so bad. This was like the Washington, and even like beyond Washington, like scuttlebutt about like how terrible his martinis were. Like I think Stalin was like, "Oh God, I've had the summit," and he was like, "I can't deal with this man's
I'm
dreadful."
going to nuke you guys because
Yeah.
your martinis are awful. All right. FDR's out. I bring my dad just because it's fun to bring my dad to stuff.
Oh,
when you
that's
lose
nice.
when you lose Stalin at the bar, it's over. Yeah, forget it. Can't happen.
No.
Oh man,
Who's our favorite whiskey writers? There's lots.
myself. No, just
Who's
kidding.
Our favorite
I-
writers.
I do love your stuff. I do.
Oh, thank
Yes.
you. I'm gonna say Lou Bryson. I really like the way he
Oh.
communicates. I've
And
always
that
been
line-
writing, and
That-
I really like his most recent book.
Greatest laugh. Every time it gets you to laugh.
And his corgis.
Oh
time.
yeah.
I still.
We'll
I
be at
love,
a show down here in Delaware Valley, and you'll hear him laugh,
Yep.
and you don't know where he is, but you'll be like,
just know.
"Lou's here somewhere. Where is he? I gotta find Lou."
I still like Dave Broom to the point where I started reading a lot of his other books that he started writing. I think he did one for gin, and he did another one for
Japanese.
maybe?
He's got a Japanese whiskey.
Yeah.
Too.
So I mean, he's really he's a broad spirits writer, and I like his style of writing. It's almost a storyteller slash. And I'm sorry, but I will still forever read Michael Jackson's work. I mean,
I was
you go
about
back-
to say Michael Jackson's
Yeah.
the OG.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yep.
oh.
And it holds up. I mean, you go back and read it, and to me, there are a few things that are sort of anachronistic 30 years later, but so much of what he wrote totally holds up, and
See, he's the
his
goat.
obvious
He's the goat.
Yeah.
He's
He's
the
the
goat.
goat.
standing whiskey is almost unparalleled. You know, I think definitely Dave Broom, you know, has kind of achieved that level. You don't think so, or you do think so?
Oh yeah.
we
Oh,
do.
yeah.
Yeah,
You don't think
yeah.
so? Yeah.
That's
Oh,
Yeah,
no, I do. I'm glad none of, well, I don't know. We haven't heard everyone else's answers. I'm going to reserve what I was going to say
Well,
because
I
I'm
think-
about to.
I
We
like
talked about-
Cowdery.
Oh, Chuck is great.
Cowdery.
Chuck
Cowdery.
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 Chuck, yeah,
He
Chuck
is
is great.
Chuck's
He is
writing
old
is
school.
like fact.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes.
My opinion. Fact, my opinion.
He is no nonsense.
Chuck's got, a totally no nonsense, always buttoned up. Totally buttoned up, yeah.
And by the way, he is hysterical on Facebook.
Oh my god.
He is a beast on Facebook.
Is that right?
Between him and Lou, I don't know which one. The two of them could just like you look at it, it's like 7,000 comments. It's like, oh my god,
If,
they just drive the
if
conversation.
only these were opposable, I could be on Facebook or Twitter or something, but they just don't work. It's like monkey paws
Thank
trying
you,
to type it.
Sam.
It doesn't work for me.
Sam needs to get out more. But seriously,
Hey, he's
Sam
been
did
locked
wait a
down
minute.
like us.
Vinny's.
I think he's
He's
talking
locked
about
down with
me and
us.
Joanne.
Well, yeah.
of course he was.
Sam, what Balvenie are you drinking? Oh, the Balvenie Rose. What?
The
I
Balvenie
guarantee
57.
it. The
Oh,
Balvenie
About 74.
1966.
No,
Yes.
no, it's the one I won at auction. It's the special bottle.
Balvenie. We love you.
Yeah, I think Davin's a very good writer. I really like his style.
Yeah.
I think,
There's a lot of things that people don't know about Davin. Like he was and he's not just the expert on Canadian whiskey. I'm gonna tell you that right now. I mean, if I knew half the shit he forgets. I'd be like,
what's his background?
I believe, now I could be talking out of turns because I've had a bit to drink. But he started out as a sommelier, I believe.
Oh wow.
I could be wrong.
Yeah, it was
I might go back and actually read his biography now that I say that. But he
and you
my
call him
God,
a
that man's
friend.
intelligent. He knows so much about whiskey, period. Like all whiskeys, not just Canadian whiskey. And a mentor to so many. Like he's another one that I really love in our whiskey fabric, our Canadian whiskey fabric. Like we've come to really give each other nicknames. He's like one of the patriarchs, right? Mm-hmm. So it's lot 40 smarty pants.
Oh, what did he go downstairs? Is that what it was? He would go downstairs.
Mm.
The Balvenie lot, the vault.
The vault. Ooh.
I bought his book, I think, at that first Whiskey Live, or the one that was after Jubilee. And I remember I was just sat and talked to him. He had a little book signing booth and just sat and talked to him. And same with Broom. And I remember walking up to Broom thinking, that's Dave Broom. He's sitting there. Nobody's talking to him. I have like Dave Broom here. I can talk to him for like ever. It was so cool. Got my book signed, and this is neat. It was cool. Well, what you said, Joanne, about Davin, I think there's not a lot of folks that are writers who have this broad knowledge of all whiskey. You know, there are Canadian-specific writers, there are Scotch-specific writers, but to find those really cool folks that can do it all, like Davin and Dave, man, and I think Bryson a little bit too. He knows a lot of American whiskey stuff, but those guys are just amazing. Josh Feldman too. They have such a broad knowledge of so many kinds of spirits. And even now, like Josh Feldman, 10, 15 years down the road, it's hard to keep up on all this stuff unless you're in the industry, right? Suzanne, you can probably get a test of that, right?
It's impossible to keep
It's
up.
impossible, right? And
It's-
these guys somehow
there's-
keep up.
Yeah, there's so much. Even when you are doing it every single day, 8-9 hours a day, there are a lot of things that you miss. There are things that sort of, if they're not announced, if an importer or brand person doesn't send out a press release or sort of make it known. I mean, these brands creep onto the shelves, and I'm like, I've never heard of this whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not talking about like a new craft distillery. I'm talking about like any number of Japanese whiskeys. I find there's a lot of stuff on the Japanese shelf that I know nothing about, and that may be on purpose, because I think a lot of these are sort of, I don't want to call them spurious Japanese whiskeys, but they are perhaps, they're not interested in being transparent about their origins. That they're just interested in sort of putting some kanji on the label and selling, at a price that's cheaper than Hibiki or something.
Yamazaki, you can't find anywhere, so they fill the void. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I think from my personal experience, when I'm doing presentations and people start asking me like, so is Japanese whiskey, really good, blah, blah, blah. Jim Murray said something. Sorry, I dropped the name. I'm sorry.
We were talking about whiskey writers, and I was going to say, I'm really glad no one's mentioned Jim Murray.
I'm sorry.
Way to go.
Sorry.
All right, to the green room. Send her off.
I'm sorry.
No, I don't want to go. Oh, no, don't punish her.
Yeah.
Look, the women on this call have both had disgusting encounters with Jim Murray. So I don't know if any of you guys have.
I have not.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Women seem to have more.
What's that?
Nothing.
Yeah, but you probably consented to those.
Hey, I got to rewind that. Hold on a second. What did you say?
What just happened?
Hold on now. Wait, what?
Sorry, I'm show running here. I'm executive producing.
I wasn't in the barrel. What?
Hey now.
Meanwhile, somebody is not bleeping fast enough. Bleep, 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 bleep.
I don't
You
bleep.
need to put both of them on like a 10-second delay.
There's no censorship
We'll
here.
fix it before it goes into syndication. Don't worry.
Okay, great. I
No.
will say one thing about Mr. Murray. One of the first books I
like
bought
his
was
hat.
actually a book that he wrote about Irish whiskey, and it's a brilliant book about Irish whiskey. So at one point, the man could actually, like, what I consider like really write a book.
Yeah.
But that's beside
Well,
the point.
Joanne, don't you know that he was the first real whiskey journalist ever in the entire history of the world?
Yeah.
Anyone
Does
who's gonna say that right after Michael Jackson is dead and buried, forget it.
Isn't
Well,
it
when
weird?
if you're going to call yourself the whiskey god of the Bible, then of course, I'm not going down that road. My friend Stefan uses it as toilet paper at his camp is all I'm going to say about that. But anyway.
So in the annals of 2020, of all the bad things that happened, that was kind of a good thing that happened with him and his the calling out of his
Exposed. Yeah, sure.
yeah. It was and Becky
I suppose
Paskin.
it's certainly a long time coming.
Well, that's it. I mean,
We'll see if
finally,
it sticks.
Well, that's
Yeah.
it, right? How if it's gonna, well, and part of it's the brands, whether they're gonna stick behind this whole.
Not
No,
falling
no.
into the trap. Don't drink the Kool-Aid.
Yes.
Put their money where their mouth is.
Until we
That would
see
be
until we see some new
nice.
brand that comes out with a girl in a bikini on it, it's tough. It's
Wait,
it's
what?
gonna-
What brand is that? What? Sorry.
Believe me, there'll be one tomorrow. Don't worry.
What
There'll
now?
be one tomorrow. Hopefully, it's not a big
Nah.
company. Because
She
everyone
don't want to
falls
talk to me either.
everyone falls in line really quickly, right? And then all of a sudden, does it last? Does it last?
Well, that's the thing.
right?
Is it going to last? I certainly hope so.
Yeah.
I was interviewed several times after it all came out by various corporations or radio stations or whatever here in Canada, and it's the same question over and over and over again, which is rather sad, And from my perspective, I've been doing this for a long time. I'm one of the older girls, I guess. if you wanna
OG.
call me that, yeah. In my circles, it's super rare that I'll see any type of like that sort of behavior anymore. Maybe 20 years ago, Maybe it's because I'm in my 50s. I don't know. Wait a minute. I'm rethinking all this all of a sudden. Oh, God.
Well, I was going to say that, the companies being on board is absolutely a necessity, but that's not the only thing that has to happen.
No, festivals need to come on board.
Festivals need to come on board, but individual people need to
wake up,
interrogate their own biases, interrogate their own behaviors, even if they are unintentional, and really make an effort to not do things that are unwelcoming for women or other underrepresented whiskey consumers, because I know, we're all white people here, but I don't think whiskey is necessarily like the most welcoming space for a person who isn't white. And there's a lot of work to be done there too.
Fair.
And a lot of it has to happen on the individual level, because I've never once in my whole whiskey drinking life and in my career working in this industry, I've never had a company or a person representing a company be anything less than professional and courteous and treat me with respect. But I've had a lot of regular whiskey. What's that?
Until you logged on to here.
Yeah, right out the window.
I've had a lot of regular whiskey drinkers, mostly men, overwhelmingly men, show a variety of behaviors that have been disrespectful all the way to downright threatening and scary. And, all of the ad campaigns in the world aren't going to change individual people's biases and behaviors. So it really has to start with each of us thinking about the ways that we, as whiskey lovers, make a space safe and welcoming for everybody. And if we see other people enter that space and try to change that, call them out and say, that's not okay here. The only thing that we're not going to put up with is being disrespectful and unwelcoming, and threatening.
Just be nice. Is it so hard?
It's not difficult.
For some people it is. I've had men put their hands on me at whiskey festivals, like in both gross and sexual ways, and also ways like, move out of my way, little lady, like let the real men do the whiskey drinking. And it's I can't believe
I apologize
in the 21st century.
It was just a one whiskey, man. I'm very
just
sorry.
the one time. I only did it one time.
Stop
I
shaming
swear.
me.
No.
It just shocks me as someone who would never put my hand on a person I didn't know, except maybe to tap them on the shoulder and say, excuse me, if they're like, if I need them to, if they're blocking a doorway or something,
or a whiskey.
Yeah. Or, well, if I'm waiting to taste a whiskey and the person is taking too long at the table, I'll say, excuse me, do you mind if I put my glass in here? I mean, there are ways, there's whiskey festival etiquette, right? And I think we all, as seasoned whiskey festival goers, know what it is. It's respect.
You see, I'm very Irish, and the ass kicking comes my way. So I'm not going to touch anybody anywhere ever. I will wait my turn and, please, sir, may I have some more?
What's in your glass, Mike? Wait, what's in your glass? Is that whiskey? It looks like a weird color. It must just be the lighting.
No, it's the Milan Green.
Oh, it's the Milan Green. Is it the port? The port cask one? Oh, that's why it looks so
No,
red.
it's the rye. It's the rye one.
Does it have a port finish or no? Is that their bourbon?
That's the rye has the
Great.
port.
Now I have to read.
The rye has the port finish, right?
It's the port finish rye. It's port finish rye.
Yeah.
When I sent for reserves, this is what my little monkey brought up.
Oh. You live with monkeys?
Is that what you call your wife?
No.
Oh God, no. No. Like
Wave off.
We're gonna take a time out now.
Make it a cut.
No.
Susanna needs to go to the green room.
Susanna said that. Please direct all the violence.
I didn't say it. He said it.
My 12-year-old is. I'm in his room right now because it's the enclave to do the shows, and I text him and say, "Bring me water, bring me whiskey, bring me something," and he happened to go downstairs and he brought upstairs.
Nice.
Okay. I'll take it, probably.
Nice.
Good. Yeah. Good kid.
Whiskey boy, bring me something.
Garcon.
Please, don't make me ask again.
What are you guys drinking?
And these guys were great. They sent us a whiskey. We talked about it with them, and it's really good. It's really very good stuff.
Yeah.
For again, younger whiskey, it's very good.
All women. It's a woman-run organization.
And
Yes,
again,
it is. That's right. Yeah, and another whiskey writer as well, Heather Green.
That's
Tin
right.
Cup.
Nice.
I like the Tin Cup.
I love that one.
I think it's actually really good. I mean,
I
I know
think
it's
it's great
It's
value for money.
MGP.
right.
It's MGP.
And well, so's the what's it called? So's the Milam and Green. I think it's also MGP.
you got to pour it off in the cup, though.
It's
Come on.
MGP.
The
Wow.
There's a little
Oh.
metal
Yellow
for
cup
it,
with
right?
I
A
mean,
little
this
silver
is we got to do.
That's
a
only
scout
for
too,
camping.
You know.
It's only when you're on the trail.
Got my whiskey
Nice.
glass.
Oh,
I
you
my
got
whiskey
you
glass.
got Mark
Mark
Gillespie's
loves
glass.
you.
There
Mark
you go.
Gillespie is
It's-
in the house.
It's when you're on the trail or at church or anywhere really.
You
The
are
subway
Irish.
It's for the subway.
On the subway.
Wherever.
Where's your
whatever.
brown bag?
Honestly,
put it in
I
my
have
Get
a
backpack.
out of the
friend
brown
who
bag
got
before.
I have a friend who got caught brown bagging on the subway,
Really?
and
Still
yeah,
a lot.
He-
You can't do that?
he got out of it though because he's in the army. He was like, "But sir, I'm in the service," and the cop was like, "All right, well, don't do it again."
Okay.
So that's what I should say. I'm in the service,
Yes.
despite
And then
my
they'll just look at you and say,
decrepitude.
I'm
"Really?"
not sure that the cop would believe you, but you
They'll be like,
try.
Really?
Wow.
All right.
It's the
Right,
facial
that's
hair.
that's
You gotta be
that's
clean
fair.
shaven.
Okay, that's fair.
So are we going nuts being stuck at home?
A little bit.
Oh,
Well, so here's where being Canadian and where I live
Oh,
is
no.
amazing.
I'm
Where's this
cry.
gonna go?
Because so if I'm going to give you guys a little bit of schooling on Canadian geography, there are 4 small provinces very east, like beyond Toronto, who think they're east, but they're not.
Greenland. Right, you're in Greenland. Right?
Well, I'm not that far east, and that's not part of Canada.
Maine?
So
Is it Maine?
Just
Didn't we
saying.
buy-
I'm right next to Maine.
It's
Which I've
Maine!
actually had Americans say to me, like, "Is there not ocean after Maine?" And I'm like, "No, there's a fucking province, and it's called New Brunswick." I've been sent for tactful and effective communications twice, by the way.
Shocking.
Yeah. So anyways, there are 4 provinces. They're called the Atlantic provinces. New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island, and Newfoundland. Not Newfoundland, Newfoundland.
But it is Newfoundland.
No. And we have
And
a
it-
bubble.
And it's Greenwich.
No.
And the bubble's
we
good.
have a bubble.
Holding.
And those 4 provinces are allowed to travel in between each other without any self-isolation.
Ah.
So our cases on the East Coast, and we're not allowing anybody to really come into our bubble. It's called the Atlantic bubble. So we're one of the few areas in Canada where COVID is not absolutely banana crazy. My province only has 50 cases roughly right now.
Wow.
And they keep it, we're all wearing masks. Everybody, we're being asked to just kind of just be cool. Don't go crazy. Don't have big gatherings. Like the whole province only has 6 deaths, knock on wood. So
Wow.
we're tight where we are, and we're super lucky, and we don't have a lot of restrictions. So
So just to recap, it's Maine, Newfoundland. What
Yeah.
are the other provinces
Vermont.
that you're a part of?
Vermont,
New
Because
Hampshire.
they're not part of the U.S., right?
New
Maine is part
Hampshire.
of Canada.
Eastern Massachusetts, not
It's
Western.
It's all
Massachusetts,
Canadian.
Boston.
It's Canada.
It's all
Boston.
Canadian. Well, I'll take any
Canadian.
American. If you guys want to come live with me, you're more than welcome. I have.
We're
a
not
wonderful
allowed
apartment
to.
and a
They
boat.
won't let us
Oh, that's right.
across
Can't
the
go.
border.
By
right.
boat.
So the-
guys
self-isolate once you get here.
Can I get there
I've
by
been
lobster
worried.
boat?
I've been worried about my Christmas tree this year because I always go to the same Christmas tree stand, and there are guys who come down from like Quebec or Ontario or somewhere. They're Canadians, and I'm like, the Canadians not going to be there this year to
No.
sell me my.
Nope.
They always tell me. I go to them. I'm like, I have a budget. This is my budget. I'm a cheapskate. I'm like, but I'll take any tree. Can be really ugly. Can be really scrappy as long as it's taller than me. That's my only criteria, is that it has to be tall. I don't care if one side is bald. Just give me height.
You turn it. It goes in the corner. It's all good.
It goes in the corner, and they always hook me up with a great tree because they're like, there's always at least one tree they cannot sell because it's like weird or other people are not going to want it. Whatever. And I'm just like, where, this is like, I always get my tree the weekend after Thanksgiving. So next weekend, I'm like, we're a week out. Are my Canadians going to be there? Are they not going to be there? I'm feeling very anxious about it.
No.
This
Chances
sounds,
are they're not going to come
sad.
down.
this sounds like a Hallmark Christmas movie.
It does.
It does.
Oh, God.
All
Starring
right,
Julia
Sheila,
Roberts.
fire up.
No. Starring me.
Starring you. Right. We can't
We go-
afford
we-
Julia Roberts.
Fire up the Boozemobile. We go to Sam. We go to Bayonne. Stop to see Susannah because she'll let us have anything we want.
And she needs a
And then
tree.
off to Canada.
We're in. I'm
That's
in.
right.
I'm in for a road trip.
Excellent.
And then we got to stay
No,
for
we
2
don't come
weeks.
back. We just leave.
And then we got to stay for 2 weeks because we have to quarantine.
That's right. If
Am
you
I
can
okay
get in,
with that?
you can't cross the border.
And
You
she
have
has
to sneak in.
disinfectant. The good kind.
And I probably won't be, and I won't be missed at all. No one will notice I'm gone.
I think the word you're looking for is relieved.
Yeah.
Oh.
Hey, I'm talking about me too. I got 3 people upstairs that'll vouch for that.
So what are the restrictions like in the states that you're in?
Don't ask.
Oh.
We
I
just
like
went
that they're
on
looking.
today in
It's-
today in California in LA County. As of tonight, 10 o'clock. From 10 o'clock to 5 o'clock, you're not supposed to leave your house.
Ah.
And restaurants are pretty much closed. Bars, well, outdoor seating, but down to 25%. Bars closed. Distilleries and breweries can be open for outdoor consumption if they have some sort of food element connected to it. Schools are closed. That's
Wow.
it. Yeah, it's really bad at the moment. We
It's not good.
actually we don't want to go out. We kind of want to not leave the house. It's pretty. They're running out of beds in hospitals, and it's not good.
Weird times.
Yeah, we just had one of our big bars around the area. They would do an event every Friday the 13th called the Firkinteenth. And they would bring in like 40 firkins of beer.
Hey, Sean.
And they just posted a note saying, we made it through this Friday the 13th, but we're going to have to close because they shut everything down in Philly again. And the guy's like, 27 years I've been here. I can't make it through this. And it's just a shame, really.
Wow.
It's a shame. The bar's been there 70 years. He's been there 27. And he's been like, I've been through 41 of these Firkinteenths, and we just can't make it through. It's a shame. It's just a shame.
It's awful.
Yeah.
It's awful. New York
And New
is
York-
like
Yeah.
New York is we went through the river in the spring, and no one wants to repeat that. So
No.
I feel very lucky that overwhelmingly people seem to be really, really respectful of the masking laws. That the only times I see people on like public transit or other places without masks, it's like teenagers, and teenagers are just shitty anyway. It's like you can't make them do anything.
They're the worst.
Oh my God.
But overwhelmingly, I think people are really trying not to have a rerun of March and April, which were very, very scary times. And so even though we lost a lot of lives, like on the other hand, if that means this time around we really keep it in check, then I feel very lucky in that sense. Obviously, the people who lost their lives were not lucky, and it just really upsets me to think about how many people have died in the United States.
It's crazy the number.
That didn't necessarily have to. Yeah, it's like there was always going to be some amount of death, but not the amount that we've had. And I feel
when it's
so angry about it.
And when it's all said and done, that number is going to be so
Crazy.
large. And to think this wasn't a war, some nuclear war. This was a preventable kind of thing. It's insane to think about the numbers. It really is.
It didn't
crazy.
have to be this bad. It didn't have to be this way. Yeah.
So
it makes
while
it
you've been
just
stuck,
so sad.
while you've been stuck at home, aside from drinking whiskey, what have you guys been doing? What have you been binging on TV? On TV. ... On TV.
Nice segue, Aaron.
Thank
nice
you.
Segue. So wait, is this what we watch when we drink?
No, that's a
Is
different.
that
That's
really
a
a
whole.
segue?
Oh,
That's
it's a
a
different show.
podcast. That's
That's a different show.
That's a
Oh,
different. That's
right.
our
I'm
podcast,
sorry.
by the way.
I've been trying. I'm not a big TV watcher. I don't have cable. I don't even own a TV. So anything I watch is like on my computer or on a phone.
Can you put her in the green room right now?
That's right.
Yeah, just
What
get
is
rid of her.
that?
You know what she is? Un-American. I think
That is
that's very-
un-American.
Yeah.
What is that?
She might as well be not Canadian, but be
Why
on.
is
What's above Canada? Send her
There's
there.
snacks. She's having some
above
snacks.
Canada's like
Greenland.
Greenland and
Send her
the
to
North
Greenland.
Pole.
That is so
Russia.
rude.
That was
We-
Fuck
rude.
all y'all.
Hey,
Who
you
did
were
that?
warned. You were warned.
Hey, look. All I'm saying is, I work a lot, and TV is a fucking drug for me. It will suck me in, and I will watch several hours.
Yes,
I would rather
that's
spend
the
my
whole point.
time
Right. That's right. That's why we like it.
That's
Right,
what's
yeah.
good
talking
about
to
it.
my husband, reading a book, going for
Oh.
outdoor dining, which I will do until the snow is falling and probably beyond. No, I watch TV, but I'm not the average American who watches like 3 hours a day by any means. But I have one more episode left of The Queen's Gambit, which some people loved and some people
Amazing.
hated.
We were all talking about it.
And I'm kind of ambivalent about it. I'm like, I don't love it. I don't hate it, but I see the critiques. I see what people disliked about it. But on the other hand, I see what people liked about it. But otherwise, I don't know. Mandalorian. Who doesn't want
Yeah.
to just
Oh, good. Did you watch tonight's?
no.
Oh,
So don't
it's
say
good.
shit.
I won't say anything. I'm just saying it was good.
Don't
I
talk
I don't think
about
I've even
Yoda.
watched last week's yet. I like to sort of, if I'm not like desperate to watch it on the day it comes out, I'm like, let me save it up in case I do want to binge 2 or 3 in a row.
Cram them all together. Binge. Exactly.
It was good.
I've
Miss
been
Lassie?
watched several programs, especially
like
in the
her.
early spring. My day job is really stressful, so by the end of the day, after working like a 10-hour day, I just needed brain farts, right? So I would just turn Netflix on and just let it run or whatever. But I binged Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, Ozarks, The Crown, which totally shocked the crap out of all my friends.
Oh, I love The Crown. I love The Crown.
I haven't watched
And
that.
Sean's
I watched a
watching
little bit.
Carmen San Diego. Heck yes.
Oh, that little kid.
Nice.
That's unfortunate.
The old Carmen San Diego, the one with the like a cappella group, that was
I hope
great.
so.
I loved that show.
I prefer the old one.
No.
No,
Oh, stop
there's a
it.
new one.
Stop it. The man with the
Where
monkeys.
in
Just
the
stop
world
it.
No.
is
They're not
Carmen
monkeys.
San
They're
Diego?
silverback gorillas. For God's sake,
Well,
you haven't seen his kid.
it's very true.
You have
Are
not
you talking
seen
about his
kid.
wife again? What
Hey,
the hell?
No,
I am hanging on here by a thread.
no.
Joanne to the green room.
You don't mess with Mike's wife. She's Neapolitan, and the Sicilians are scared of the Neapolitans.
Wait, she's
So just
strawberry
saying.
chocolate and vanilla?
Hey,
No,
Yeah.
no.
If only.
No.
No.
My grandmother
The
was Neapolitan.
the only discussions we've had was, I will not dig my own shallow grave. When we drive to wherever you're going to kill me, I will accept you're going to kill me. I will not dig my grave.
it's a good rule of thumb.
I'm too old for that. I'm not going to do it.
Hurt your back.
You can kill me here. It's someone else. And my wife's response was, well, your sons will come with me. It'll be okay.
It's good to have help. You get cheap labor.
Oh my god. Next time, can we please have Mike's wife on the show and not Mike?
Yes.
No.
No.
It's very angry. No. When you joke about your death, it's one thing. When I joke about my death at my wife's hands, she says, when you turn up dead, apparently I will, of obviously some sort of homicidal effect, she's like, they'll think it was me. Like, I can't just have a heart attack. Obviously, someone killed me.
So
Like,
true.
this doesn't make you any better. This is
That's right.
good.
Check him for cyanide. Check him for cyanide.
I would welcome
No autopsies,
cyanide. I
please.
would. This is my cyanide.
Oh.
Yeah. So if you were stuck,
Gilo, how am I going to die? How am I going to die?
At the
By
hands of a
Wednesday?
jealous woman.
I'm going to die full.
Oh,
I
That's
want
right.
the autopsy to say, oh, this guy's full. There's nothing there. He's full.
so if you have to watch, if you're stuck in your house for one whole year, like we've been all stuck for a year, and you can only watch one animated movie, What is it?
Animated?
It has
Over
to
and
be
over again.
animated.
Over and over again.
Oh,
Oh God.
like Spirited Away or Howl's Moving Castle, like
Ooh.
a good
Ah.
you
Never
know,
saw
Susanna, you nailed it.
a
Yeah, that's
Miyazaki
incredible.
movie. Like
Yeah.
name almost any Miyazaki movie, and I would be fine with that.
Yep.
Oh,
But-
I got a good
Yeah.
one. I got a good one. Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Yeah, does that count as
Okay.
animated? I guess it does.
Sure.
It's
That
animated.
Stop motion
That
animation.
is
not-
that
it's
is a
not
good
humans.
one.
There's no
That's
humans
really
in it. Yeah.
good. And it's funny.
That's
Well, if that's the
a
case,
great
I'm going
movie.
with Wallace and Gromit.
Oh, that's a good one too.
Oh.
Yeah.
Which one?
It don't matter. Just Wallace and Gromit. You could put
Just any Wallace
I don't
and
care.
Gromit. Yeah,
Wallace
I
and
could
Gromit.
watch
the wrong
trousers.
trousers. Yeah.
Yep.
That's
I
good.
love
Aw.
Chase.
Curse of
I
the Were
go
Rabbit.
with the first Frozen because I like to rock out. I'm really, it's
Yeah, you-
impressive, really.
You
Well,
you
I covered
are the
Frozen.
only adult in the entire world who would watch
Ooh.
Frozen for a
Strings.
year
What
willingly.
What
is
is
Kubo?
Kubo
I-
and the
I
Two
go with-
Kubo and the
Strings?
Two Strings.
Somebody
That's
Google
what
that
I
shit.
do. I go with all.
Sounds
I
very
sing-
artistic.
I sing the high falsettos. I'm out there rocking out.
Let's
It's
hear
in the
it.
range.
Again, we might backtrack to my wife trying to kill me, but the whole stupid thing there.
Come on, Mike.
Whatever.
Let it go.
I'm
Mike,
not
let it go.
saying my death isn't deserved. I'm just saying it's gonna be unpleasant for some people.
And imminent.
Okay, so it's my turn to ask
Oh.
the host
What?
a question.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Get him, Joanne.
The table is turned.
Boxers or briefs? That's
That's
not the question. That's not the question at all.
No one needs to know.
What is the one unicorn whiskey you hope to try before you die?
Oh, anything with Dallas Stew. Anything with Dallas Stew. I love Dallas Stew.
Okay.
Anything with that.
Brora.
Anyone in particular?
No, I've never had one. I've never tried one.
Really?
No, I don't think so. I can't. Pour it
Sheila
on.
the
You're gonna like
grouse?
it.
Is that
You're gonna
what
like
you're
it when
going
you try
for?
it.
Go for the grouse.
Yeah.
I think we've lost J-Lo. Poor
We didn't
J-Lo.
lose him. It's okay. We didn't lose him.
We can't hear
It's
you.
all
No,
right.
we
Can't
can't
hear
hear you.
nothing.
Cannot hear you, dude.
Dad, I get
You're gonna have to replace that headset, man.
curse.
I had
Mike,
Replace the head.
what's your unicorn?
Replace for.
I had the Dallas Stew at one of the very
Oh, the
first
Dallas too. That's right. Yeah.
society events I went to, and every time I went back to another society event, I would get the Dallas Stew. It's so good. Go to Keen's, get Dallas Stew, whatever. For me, that's the bottle because you can't get it anymore. You just can't. How about you? How about you, ladies?
Can it be a thing that there's no possibility of
Hello?
ever trying?
Anything at all, whatever.
I
Something
would,
that's no
I would
longer
really
available.
like to try whiskey made by Dr. Crow, like the original sort of like Crow whiskey of the early
Hello?
1800s.
We hear you.
I'm back.
You're
He's
back.
back.
All right. So the whiskey.
I would love to know what whiskey A tasted like 200 years ago, and B tasted like at the hands of the man who perfected sour mash and all these other sort of really important technological advancements in American whiskey.
Wow. Oh, aren't you so special?
If I had a time machine, that's where I'd go.
Okay.
Hey, Mike.
Go, Ange,
Angelo, are
go,
you
Ange.
with us?
Remember
What?
that Yamazaki plum cask we heard about?
Oh,
Yes.
the pumpkin.
I want to try that.
Yeah.
Wasn't that the
Yeah.
one that they kept in house and they only sent it to like the
Oh,
employees?
you couldn't get it.
Right.
You couldn't get it.
You had to be an employee of Suntory to get it.
Yeah.
So
It was
I
like
want to try that.
Umeshu.
That was
cast?
that was the guy we talked to, the West Coast guy, talked about the worst day FedEx ever came to his house
That's right. And
because
this
he could
it arrived
smell the
broken,
whiskey,
didn't it?
but the bottle was broken. He couldn't taste
Oh.
it. He could just
Oh,
smell
what
it.
was his name?
He's like, it came. My wife picked it up. It
I'm
was in
gonna
the
find
mud
his
room.
name.
All I could do was smell it, but I couldn't taste
The
it.
West
because
Coast
the bottle had
Suntory guy?
broken.
Johnny
Yeah.
Manziel.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
not Johnny. It was,
Yeah.
this
Not
was
Johnny.
like 6-7 years
No?
ago. I think
From
of
the
his name now.
Yamazaki event.
Bald, beard, very well dressed. Nice guy.
Well,
Can't remember
Johnny
his
was
name.
tall and has a beard.
How about you?
Not that tall. More built like me. Stocky.
So
Svelte.
So 5'1", like a penny dwarf. Is what you're saying?
5'1" high, 5'1" wide. No, not that big. No, that's
As
me,
tall
not
as he-
him.
As
And the
wide
cube.
as he was tall.
What about you, Johanne?
As far as a unicorn whiskey?
Yeah.
Whew. I've never really thought about it, to be quite honest.
Naya White.
You
That
asked
was
the
a good one.
question.
I
Naya
know.
White, yeah, Naya White.
I'd have to think about it. I got sidetracked in my brain. I've been so fortunate. Like I've been doing this for a long time, so I've really
tried
had
everything,
some
right?
amazing
Yeah.
whiskeys and some amazing experiences along the way where, you know, like Susannah said, all of a sudden somebody just opens a backpack and like, you ever try this? And it's, you know, something from your year of birth, and you're kind of like, holy shit, your mind explodes and you just sort of start drooling and everything becomes surreal. And I've had a lot of those wonderful experiences over the years.
This guy.
I have to
How
say
about
though,
a-
oh, who's this?
Oh, who
That's
is
the guy.
that?
Naya White.
Naya White.
Is he still with the
I
company?
don't know him.
I don't know.
I don't know
This
him.
was
I do
like
not
6
know.
years ago. This
Interesting.
was 7 years ago, so I don't know.
So
But he was like
Susannah,
that.
I will go through my sample drawer, but I have a whiskey that was bottled in 1878.
Whoa.
What?
Oh, you topper. You topper,
What?
you.
How?
It's technically a Canadian whiskey, but
But
I don't think it tastes
was
like a
Canada a
Canadian
country
whiskey.
in 1878?
Fucking right it was.
Rude.
Jesus Christ, man, what the hell?
God,
It was just
showing
a-
your
it was a
ignorance.
territory.
Julio.
There's that effective tactful communications coming.
I'm sorry, it's the booze dancing. It's the booze
It's the
talking.
booze dancing.
It's the
I've
booze
had
talking.
a lot
Sorry.
to drink.
Where
a
did
lot
you
to drink.
obtain this
Cars and letters.
insane
Gino.
sample? Who had
You have to
who
feel
had
to
a
get it.
bottle that old?
Gino.
It's actually I don't want to say it's a common bottle to find in Canada, but there's probably I'm going to say a good case of it floating around here and there, and people still have like some of it. So
That's crazy.
if I find it, you email me your address and I will send it to you to try.
Oh my God! All right, well, I'll find
That's so
something
weird.
not as rare, but hopefully almost as exciting.
Interesting. What
Did
I
you
think
return?
is it's not a traditional Canadian, like it doesn't taste like Canadian whiskey. It tastes like whiskey, and it's not corked, and it's not weird, and it's not oxidized. Like this bottle was well preserved. It was the one that we had, anyways. Was found in like in between people's walls during Prohibition, so they hid their whiskey in walls. So when the house was demolished and started to take stuff down, they started to find all these bottles in the walls.
I love those stories.
Oh my gosh!
Those are
and
great.
I'm pretty sure it was called McLaren's. I'd have to double check because my sample drawer is like so full of crap at this point. But it was a stupendous like experience to try something that was bottled in 1878. So it was
That
Sounds
it was crazy.
amazing.
Does
The
does
oldest,
Dab-
the oldest thing I've ever had was like 1919. Thingy.
Thingy?
Old Overhaul.
Sure.
Ah.
Like-
Yeah, that one.
Thing
The
that's always
thingy,
there.
the guy, the place, sure.
That's
That's the oldest. That's the oldest I've ever had.
Oh, was that the who was the guy that owned that?
Old Overhaul. That's a.
Oh, was that the
Bill,
Melons?
a guy
Well-
named Bill, probably.
Was
sure.
it the Melons? It was in Pittsburgh,
Van-
right? That's the old Overhaul one.
Yeah.
Vanderbilts, right? Did
What's
the
it?
Vanderbilts?
I'm just thinking
So it
Boardwalk
was
Empire. I can't
over
remember what it was.
Abraham Overholt. The I think Vanderbilts at a time, and then maybe also
Carnegie?
um,
I don't know.
Carnegie. I
Maybe,
can't
yeah.
remember. I should remember this.
Johanne.
But-
Tilo, what are you opening there? What are you opening?
I got
Oh, I know what that is.
I got this lovely thing
Brothers?
from
The Bear Brothers?
the little West
Oh,
Coast
the Bear
gift from the
Brothers.
Oh,
Kalila.
how lovely!
Oh,
Oh,
nice.
a little 11-year-old Kalila.
I would
It's a
like
nice
to go next
shiny
door.
tube.
Joanne, does Davin know what?
Go ahead.
Does Davin know about that Canadian? That
Oh yeah.
does he know the history on it?
At the time that we had it opened, we were celebrating Canada's 150th anniversary. So I'm trying to remember when that was. 2017, maybe 1867. Yeah, 1867 to 2017. I remembered the math. Yay!
So to be fair, Angelo's question
To be
about
fair.
whether
To be
or
fair.
not Canada
To be
was
fair.
a country then is
Yeah.
actually fairly legitimate.
Ah, see.
1867.
See,
He was
Is
off by
Canada
12
country?
years.
I wasn't far off.
Is-
That's why I'm asking.
Is Canada a country? Well,
Yes.
maybe-
Yes. I don't
Are
know.
you kidding me?
So I find the old stuff more interesting than delicious.
Well, it's funny you should say that. One of my
trying to be
trips to
funny.
Scotland, I was interviewing the Gordon and MacPhail, some of the Gordon and MacPhail family. So the Urquhart twins and their cousin Stephen, and I was writing this really big article about like just the family, the family tradition and everything about it. And I was in Elgin, and I was there for the whole day. They sent a car so I could drink, which was great. And when I got to where they were, we're chit-chatting, and they made me a cup of coffee, and I did the interview, and then all of a sudden Michael, who's a sailor like I am as well, we started talking about sailing, and I was getting ready to get up and leave, and he was like, so do you want to see the sample room? I was like, oh, sure. So they took me down the stairs, and we went below ground. And when they turned the lights on, it's like the size of a football field. And
Really?
Yeah. And it's
'Cause
a sample, like this size, and it's filled. It's just the whole room from one end to the other is just like these big, I start to sound like Rain Man when I start talking about this, because it's still the most surreal experience I've ever been. And it's like samples drawn from casks over the years. So you might have a Highland Park 12, but from 1978, and you might have a Mortlock 1939, and you might have and everything is just everywhere. So we start walking down these long hallways, so to speak. And as I'm talking, it's like a history lesson, because Michael is like, and this is this. And then Richard speaks up and he goes, yeah, and this is this, and this is this. And we're just kind of like walking along. My brain exploded 20 times, and I think I peed my pants. I'm sure of it. So then we get back over to like the little booth, and I'm taking notes. I'm like, we don't want you to take pictures. I'm like, I'm fine. That's great. And I'm taking notes, and I'm listening to their stories. And for them, it's all about, they're the whiskey makers of today, but for the whiskey that their grandchildren and children and great-grandchildren will be drinking, right? So for them, it's all about that tradition of, I won't see any of these whiskeys. It's the people after me that will get to drink them. Yep. So one of the twins, Richard, says to me, so if we could let you take 10 samples home, what would you pick?
Whoa.
I'm like,
10?
A bottle of that.
If we let you
Give me that
take
1939 Mortlock.
I didn't even think of that one. I went bananas, and I went for what I call the young whiskeys of old era. So I wanted the Highland Park 12 and the Longmorn 10 and the whatevers. Like, I wanted all the young whiskeys, but from that 70s and 60s era. Yeah. So I went. It was like, do you guys have the show Supermarket Warehouse down in the States?
Doesn't sound familiar.
It's a Canadian show. I'm pretty sure of it. What they do is they give people a cart.
Oh, it's like Supermarket Sweep. Wasn't that the one?
Yes.
Oh, that's
It's
it.
And they
American
run
version.
through the
Same show,
supermarket,
right.
throwing
They somehow
You got-
made
you
it
got
sound
2
less
minutes.
interesting.
I would have went
Okay.
2 minutes.
That's what my 5 minutes of running around
Oh my
trying to figure
God.
out what sample bottles I wanted. And anyways, I ended up taking home 10 beautiful sample bottles. And actually, Michael spoke up and said, you didn't pick the Mortlock 39. And I went, no, actually, I wasn't even. And so they sent me home with a sample of that as well, which was fucking stupendous.
Bonus round.
Yeah. So, like I say, I've had all these really crazy experiences over the years where I just either I'm in the right spot at the right time, or like, I have this crazy life, and I love it. From a whiskey perspective, it's always been amazing.
So you've tried all those, right?
I drank them all.
So were any of them not?
Forget it. I don't want you to come down with anything now.
Were
Forget
any
it.
of them not what you thought they'd be? Or
No.
not good? They were all good.
Not one.
Interesting.
The best one was a Caperdonic 1978. And I would say that, okay, so there's the next question. What is the best dram?
Wait, stop.
What?
Caperdonic what?
1978?
Okay.
Pretty sure that's what it was. I'd have to go back to my little pictures.
Continue.
It was aged in a sherry cask, and it was darker than mahogany, and it was amazing. I thought, oh, that's gonna like be tannic and dry my mouth out and be like the Sahara Desert, but it was stupendous. It was beautiful.
This is for both of you, because I think this is a good, interesting question. So, old Scotch from the 60s and 70s, or long ago, they seem to hold up, whereas I don't think that old American whiskeys hold up.
They do.
Because I've had some very old American whiskeys.
What's very old?
Oh, from the turn of the century.
Mid-century?
Yeah.
Turn of the century.
And 20s and 30s, 40s, before you get to the big production eras. And I just don't think they're very good.
I have an old Ezra 15 from the 1950s. And if that's what bourbon was back then, like, holy shit.
Interesting.
Aaron, the stuff that you've had like from 100 years ago, is it just spoiled from oxidation?
I don't know.
And bottle time? I mean,
I
have to think that a lot of it is.
Maybe.
It's just like bad seals. It's not like they had like great forks or caps back then.
I was never impressed by any of them. I was never. Whoa!
I don't think there's a reason. I don't think there's a reason that you should be. There's no inherent reason why whiskeys should be amazing just because they're old. And when you think about what the state of drinking and whiskey making was 100 years ago, 120 years ago, it was not necessary. People were not necessarily using the best fermentation techniques. They weren't really all that concerned about sanitizing their glassware necessarily. Stuff like that. So
on a relative
we prize
basis,
these things because they're old, but that doesn't mean that they're good.
Well, I'm thinking less old than from the era. I'm not, and so I guess my question is, was that stuff good from that era in general?
Think about the majority of the whiskey made now.
Not good.
Think about
that's
like the majority.
headed.
It's not going to be. I don't want to say any. Even bottom shelf stuff is totally acceptable, well made whiskey. You're not even a bottle that's $12 for a $7.50 from Jim Beam or Heaven Hill is not going to be shit. Right? They know how to make whiskey well. They make good whiskey. That might just be young. It might be what. It's not going to be. It's bargain level. It's a conflict, but it's not going to be bad whiskey. But if someone drinks it 100 years from now, are they going to say, "Wow, this is blowing my mind"? No, but that's because it's the majority of whiskey that's made and sold.
And I think a part of it is too how much of it is sipping whiskey, and how much of it is cocktails. Like we made a lot of whiskey for cocktails. 100 years later, it was still cocktail whiskey. You weren't supposed to drink it by itself.
Yeah.
So if you drink it by itself, you're not going to be impressed, but it wasn't what it was made for. We made it for, fruit and tonic and something else to go with it. And you weren't supposed to drink it by itself.
Or for slugging out of a flask.
It was what it was. Yeah, exactly. It was shots.
Nobody
was cocktails.
At a funeral.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody was dosing their whiskey 125 years ago. They weren't being precious about it.
And you got to think of the era too, right? Like the history of whiskey and where it was, like either at the height or the low. And that turn of the century was just about the whiskey crash. Just about, like, everybody was making whiskey, and a lot of it was crap. And that's why it crashed so hard, like right before the First World War, and didn't really climb again for a while, to be quite honest. But Prohibition
in American whiskey, it just destroyed the vast majority of the industry.
Yep.
And it ended Pennsylvania whiskey. Pennsylvania whiskey ended, because of Prohibition.
It's coming back slowly.
It is coming back, isn't it weird?
But more importantly, if you got in a car, Johanna, and you brought that whiskey down to Gilo and I, how long would that about?
She's not allowed in this
14
country
In terms
currently.
of time,
I'm not leaving my
I've got a
province.
bed
And
for
she
you.
can't.
You can stay here. He lives behind me. We could share some whiskey.
You guys get that whole
Fine.
election thing settled, and then maybe we'll start to come back.
Wait,
and-
Oh,
hold on a second. You guys,
fine.
like,
I
you
need
have
to
any
have a
say in that?
president.
Angela, fix that tomorrow. Get that
Okay.
fixed tomorrow.
I could call a few people. Hey, wait, you know what? Based upon the
What?
stories tonight, I'm thinking Mike's wife can make a few calls.
Ooh.
That's what I'm saying.
No, I don't know if Joanna will make it here, though. We might get the whiskey, but she might. Joanna and I might be in the same Pine Barrens, shallow grave, but you might get some whiskey. Again, I apologize unreservedly to my wife for any comment.
Blackadder.
Ooh,
Blackadder.
Nice.
Woo.
What is it?
Yeah.
1996 Kalila?
Yep.
Oh,
Very nice.
Does
Very
it
nice.
have bits and pieces of the cask floating in it?
It does.
Oh, the rock
that's
cat.
what the
I
Love
need-
the
I
beauty
need a
of it is the
tissue.
cask.
I need
Love
a
the juicy
tissue.
bit. Love them.
Those are Moorish.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're delicious.
So, what makes you guys excited about the industry now?
not much.
No?
Nothing. Because why? Because you've seen so much already, or there's just nothing you think going forward that's very interesting.
I'm struggling with, and this is just my personal take, and it's probably me, kicking myself in the ass, and I don't really care at this point. I'm struggling with the fact that, it used to be that you would have a distillery that would have 6 core whiskeys instead of 78.
That's a good point.
And people are falling over each other for releases that are quote unquote limited, but are they really?
No, they're not.
Yeah. And I'm really tired of the marketing bullshit. So that's me personally.
It's a big business now, right?
Yeah. And that's fair. I mean, that's what they're there for, is to make money. But as a consumer, for me, I've really pared down what I buy, and it's more about what I really like, and what I think is good quality or good value.
I think that's a good way to go.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to. I mean, there's limited space, there's limited money. So, drink what you like.
Susannah, what do you think from being from your professional side? What do you think the future looks like?
Well, I mean, I'm excited about
Whiskey delivery.
Mike's
Look at that
delivery.
the whiskey mule.
What is that?
What is that?
This is the Shinju, a Japanese whiskey. You mentioned earlier about how whiskeys that just disappeared from the shelves, and this shows up, and maybe it's
Yep,
good, maybe
never,
it's not.
Never heard of that. Standard bottle shape.
It's
Who knows?
it's not good.
Like you know, Japanese.
I will not drink
So-
that. I will ask for my whiskey monkey to bring another bottle.
The mule.
So what were you saying, Susannah?
Well, so Aaron's original question was what's exciting or cool about the industry right now, and I think the thing that gives me a lot of optimism is the number of people who seem to not only be interested in whiskey because it's cool, but are interested in whiskey because they like to drink it. I've only been drinking whiskey for 10 years, if that, and I've seen such a change.
So you started
that
drinking when you were 10,
decade.
is that what you're saying?
She started when she was like
Oh, you're
9,
sweet.
9 or 8.
10, 9, 10.
How sweet.
It's more that you're just so old.
And not
It's not so much that you're
change.
so young, but us boys are so old.
Understood. Thank you for qualifying that compliment that I was just going to take.
Yeah, that was a compliment that was somewhat backhanded. I don't know. I think it was a compliment.
It sounds like something an older brother would say.
No, my older brother would be
on.
much harder.
I was going to say, Angelo, the older brother I never wanted.
Exactly. You know what? My
But
sister
no one
says the
wanted
same
his
thing.
older brother.
My sister says the same thing all the time.
There you go.
No, but I have a lot of optimism with, just looking at the number of new drinkers who are coming to whiskey and who are so excited about whiskey and so thrilled to discover things that are new to them and are totally old hat to me and to probably all of us, right? Where we're just feeling jaded and we're like, oh, yeah, that was great, 5 years ago, but it's really gone downhill. And these people are just like, this is amazing. I'm so excited. It tastes so good. And I love that energy and that excitement, and I don't ever want to be the person that I often meet who says, well, a lot better 10 years ago. Let me tell you what you've missed out on. Like, I never want to go there because I think whiskey has never been in a better position, in a business sense, in a sense of viability than it is right now. There's a ton of interest in it. There's a growing market for it. And the way people are making whiskey is more, sound than ever before scientifically. Like, it is really hard to find a shitty whiskey. I mean, you can find them from people who make whiskey and they don't know what they're doing, but go to any major whiskey making company, any of the big guys, they're not making bad whiskey. You can occasionally get an off cast, but they figured it out. They're not going to screw that stuff up. And if they do somehow screw it up, they're not putting it in a bottle. And even though the innovation gets a little out of hand sometimes, I completely agree with your point, Joanne, that everyone seems just hell-bent on outdoing the other person, and it's getting it can be really tiresome and go way too far. Nevertheless, there's still more good whiskey in the world right now than there ever was before now. And that makes me really happy. You might have to sift through a lot of mediocre bottles or bottles you're not interested in, but the good stuff's still there. It's not like Prohibition. It's not like post-Prohibition. It's not like the dark days of Irish whiskey when there were two companies making So I feel so excited about the trajectory, and I do think it's only going up. Overall, there might be bumps here and there, but
5 years ago there was talk that the boom we're in the middle of the boom and the bus is coming.
It's over.
Right, it's over. It's gonna happen, and now we've got the pandemic, and a lot of hedge fund guys came in, or guys who were retiring, and hey, we're gonna put our retirement money into a little distillery in the middle of nowhere. So is this a cleaning? Are we close to the bust, if there's going to be a bust? And does the pandemic, for better or worse, clean out a lot of the folks that shouldn't have been maybe doing this to begin with?
I don't want to call it a bust. I think a bust is a really dramatic
A
way of
market
talking
correction?
about it.
How about that?
A correction.
I think there is going to be a correction. I don't think the pandemic is going to be a huge factor in it. I think the correction was always coming. Yes, there are people who have started making whiskey, started investing in whiskey, a word that I really hate, and sort of gotten into the business for monetary reasons or reasons that are not, I really love doing this and this is really the way I want to spend my life. And I don't, I guess going into it as a business proposition, I don't want to judge that as that's a bad reason to make whiskey. Of course not, it's a business. But people who thought they could make a quick buck, the correction is coming for them. The correction is coming for the people who have been making whiskey for a few years and have not figured out how to make it well. I mean, there is still a lot of poorly made whiskey, and I don't think that once you've been in business for 2-3 years, you really have an excuse for that. Call a consultant, go back to school, learn what you're doing wrong, and fix it. It is a science. You can figure this out. It's not to say 6 months old that whiskey's not going to taste super mature, but it's if your fermentations are bad, if you run a dirty operation, you need to fix that. If the correction comes for those kinds of businesses, that's business. That's the market. And I don't think that's, I feel sorry for anyone who loses out financially in ways like that. But but I don't think that that's a bad thing. You know, it's what the market does. The people who make a product that's good and that consumers want to buy, you know, hopefully they'll stick around. You know, enough consumers will say this is worth the money to me, and the people who are sort of half-assing it, well, you know, better luck in your next venture. But maybe this was not the one for you. But I don't think it's going to be a bust. I think this is a generational shift, much like with, you know, like my parents' generation. I'm a millennial. My parents are boomers. Wine was a huge generational shift for them. I mean, if you look at like the statistics about wine drinking in America and how the 60s, 70s, 80s, you just see this ascent. I don't think whiskey is necessarily going to become as big in terms of total overall number of people drinking it, you know, and total market share as wine, because it's consumed in a different way. But I do think it's here to stay. I don't see it going anywhere.
Joanne,
for this generation.
In Canada, are you seeing a change in the folks that are the consumers? Are they becoming younger for the whiskey in general? Is there growth in Canadian?
Oh, definitely.
Canadian market?
Oh my gosh, yeah, definitely. The age demographic has changed quite a bit. Like going to whiskey festivals and being a presenter on a regular basis. What is getting more difficult in Canada is the availability of whiskey. We're a small demographic if you consider our population. You'll have to excuse my crazy cats in the background here. So if he attacks me or something and I run, I'm forewarned. So a lot of the whiskeys that would have normally come to Canada are going elsewhere, i.e. Asian market, i.e. the United States. And so the companies or the liquor stores or the liquor corporations are a lot like in the United States. They're very specific to the province in question, and the prices are getting absolutely ridiculous in Canada. So I see a whiskey crash coming, but probably not. I'm going to say for maybe another 5 to 10 years. Like it's going to happen because people are just they're going to just say, I can't afford this anymore. Or we won't be able to just like, you can't buy Japanese whiskey in Canada anymore. It's really rare.
Or in the US. Yeah.
There you go. So, and it's going elsewhere or, whatever, or the really good, what I call the really great whiskeys that we see are, either in the United States or over in the UK. We just don't get them in Canada anymore. So, what's up and coming?
You have more distilleries popping up though, right?
Well, we do. Now, I was going to make comment to what Susannah was saying, which is, I do not suffer from being kind to new companies or to new distilleries. If I go to a whiskey show and I'm tasting something for the first time, and like Susannah said, if I feel that there's something wrong with the process, if I taste butyric acid, rancid butter, I'm going to tell you, there's something wrong with your process. If I taste soap, you're running your still way too hot. Like I that's my background. I know this shit. And if I don't like a new whiskey, I can tell you right now, for whatever reason, my palate recognizes Hungarian virgin oak almost instantaneously. And it's like having an aversion to liver or Brussels sprouts. Like my body just goes, Hungarian oak. And I can't even, I'm like, like right away.
That's so interesting.
So wait,
Joanne,
what does Hungarian oak taste like?
Oh my God. To me, it's rancid. It's so hot and you might as well just give me, no. You might as well just give me a mouthful of ginger root pureed through like rubbing alcohol. Like it's just, it's too hot.
I think I had that last week.
It's nasty to my palate.
Again, I'm not sure.
Hungarian oak.
What's wrong with that? No. Did you have some sushi?
I want to send you, Joanne. I want to send you a sample of Glenmorangie, A Tale of Cake, which is their new one. And I don't know if it's I cannot remember if it's a US exclusive or not. It just came out. It's finished in Tokai casks, which are always Hungarian oak. I'm really curious what you think. Because Glenmorangie makes good whiskey. They don't put it out. But if Hungarian oak is like cilantro to you, if you were a person who genetically were predisposed to hate cilantro,
which is like
super curious what you think. No, I see your point, and if a distiller asks me in a way that I know that they genuinely want feedback, I'll give them honest feedback. But if they, if I'm like in my capacity as a whiskey professional, and they're not asking for honest, I'll just not say anything. Like if they're giving me something that I know is bad, I would prefer to keep it to myself. I just feel like I was punching down if I said, actually, you failed. This sucks. Like you did something wrong here.
Well,
I'm not a consultant. I'm not I can't tell them like
with a maturity.
She's breaking up.
Little Wi-Fi issue.
Yeah, okay, I'm glad that wasn't just me. I lost the end of... Are you there, Joanne?
Who is me?
Yeah, you're like...
Yeah, sorry, we lost you. Your connection was...
You're there, but it's a little... There we go.
She's out. She'll be back.
I'll come back.
So do you...
Now we can talk about her.
Is she from Canada?
She's crazy. She's a crazy
Is she Canadian? I'm drinking Canadian. I switched to the new Whistle Pig Boss Hog. Magellan's Atlantic. It's wild.
Canadian.
It's very
made in
wacky.
Vermont.
It's made in Vermont.
It's definitely Alberta distillers. It's wild. They use virgin Spanish oak, and then
this bottle.
What did he bring you? A Woodford?
Woodford, the reserve. They cost me $5 a bottle. So the horrible child I have is working on the economy. And this bottle and another bottle.
Oh my God!
$5.
They're killing you.
He's texting me as I text him, and $5. You want water? $5. It's not good.
This is pandemic pricing. I'm opposed to this.
So
fuck teenagers.
To continue, the Whistle Pig. Yes,
is it good?
You enjoy the Whistle Pig?
Oh, I really like it, but it's wacky. It's totally different. It's weird and wild. It's I finished in virgin Spanish oak, which is a little bit weird, and then 3 days in a teak wood cask, also known as amburana.
Teak wood.
Really?
Teak wood from Brazil.
Oh my God.
It has crazy pastry notes. And this like floral thing happening, and it's super like pulling tannins on the mouth, very, very tannic from that. It's wild. I really like it, but like it's different.
And that
is any of it from the US or is it all from Alberta?
I think it's all Alberta, yeah.
Alberta. Okay.
Yeah.
And then
I think it's good or bad.
It's like 15 or 17-year-old Alberta rye, so it's it had age on it to begin with.
Okay. Yeah.
And the blender at Whistle Pig now, Pete Lynch, who's a really nice guy. I mean, I don't envy anyone who had to step into Dave Pickrell's shoes. But he's a young guy. He's got a lot of energy, great ideas. Obviously, worked with Dave, and he said when they decided they were going to do this, they went to the cooper in Spain, and they're like, "All right, we want these virgin casks. We want you to toast them, And the cooper's like, "Are you sure?" And they're like, "Yeah, we're sure." And he's like, "All right, well, I just hope you're not putting anything good in here." Presumably because it wasn't about the cat. It was just that like virgin oak is very powerful.
She's back.
Sure. Flip it, girl.
She's back. Did your cat attack your router? Like, what happened there?
Turn your camera.
Oh, right. Turn the camera.
Flip it.
There we go.
Flip it.
There we go.
bit good.
No, I did something really stupid.
To a musical
Yeah,
swallow.
who hasn't?
Sounds like my day, my life.
Every day.
I
That is
didn't
every
plug
day.
my phone in. My phone died.
Oh
darn phone
no!
Meh. I got to go to the bathroom.
There you go. You
I
know, I
keep
need
my
snacks.
phone plugged in so I can go and call my whiskey boy to
Hey,
bring me
hey.
more whiskey.
Aaron, let me ask
Yes.
you: did the Portuguese seafood snacks arrive?
They're in transit. They're in transit.
Yeah,
Oh,
where
Christ.
are my black jelly beans? I don't
I
understand.
Again.
want sardines, damn it.
You know, it's really tough with Uber Eats these days. Those guys out there on the lines, you know, it's tough.
Sons of bitches.
They're slackers, basically.
They're
just
slackers.
slackers.
What is
You
she
know-
opening? What is she opening? What is that? Oh, is that the? That's what she had before.
It's another whiskey agency. This one is
Whiskey
a
agency.
Lecce 10-year-old.
Ooh, we like the
Wow.
lunch.
You know,
Yeah,
I've gone through my lineup here.
What? So you have nothing
Find
left?
another bottle.
No, I mean,
Do
I
you
can
not
go
have
back.
teenagers? I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Anglo. Where are your teenagers?
I think they went to bed.
Oh,
What?
And no,
On a Friday
Then-
before midnight? No, wait a minute. People stayed up later than them.
I always stay up later
and
than
your
everybody.
boy to my
That's
back door, and my boy will give you a bottle.
Hey, there you go.
This is
I'll
a
open the door.
Blackadder Lechig.
nice.
I'm thinking I need to
Johanna,
get a taste.
have you had Corby's?
Yes.
Many times, I'm sure.
Have you had Corby's whiskey?
I'll be back.
Yes.
I'm gonna get some Lafroig.
Have you
Well,
had
that sounds
Corby's
pretty good.
whiskey from 1940?
I can honestly say this is how you turn into Rain Man when you start talking about some of the whiskeys you tried.
Definitely. 10 minutes Wapner.
Corpus
10 minutes Wapner.
1956, Spirit of Toronto in 2017. Yeah.
So my next door neighbor has put up with Angela and I joining in the backyard and drinking for like 4 or 5 years. And she knocks on my door and she says, would you like some whiskey? And I thought, well, that's an odd question. No, thank you. And then she knocks the next day and says, would you like some whiskey? And I thought, okay, sure. And I go into her house and she said she bought her house from her father. And her father was a professional. And every year at Christmas, he would get bottles of whiskey, which he did not drink fast enough. So she said, all the scotch is gone, but the rest of this stuff, you can just take a bottle for nothing. Just take it. Just leave. And I have a 1940 bottle of Corby's whiskey.
Nice. Have you opened it?
Which, no, because I'm waiting. Because it's 1940s, and I'm like, well, I'm old. I'll wait till I'm, maybe another couple of years. When it's 100 years old, I'll open the bottle, whatever. But I got a bottle of Old Pinch from her, a bottle of McNaughton's, which Mark Gillespie came to the house and said, could you open that and let me have some of that now? And the topper
And you said,
was actually
no.
a pourer where you turn the bottle upside down, you filled the topper, and then poured that off as that was a shot.
Oh, that's cool.
And I have a bottle of 1940s Corby's, which apparently make really, I don't want to say great, but they make rye. But at some point they made whiskey, and they no longer make that. And I have a bottle of it. And I'm like, it's under the house with all the other under the house stuff, and see what happens.
I'll come over and drink it with you when you're ready to
I was
open
gonna
it.
say, I'll get in the teleporter and jump and come and drink with you. For sure.
Well, I mean, if
Yeah,
he's
but yeah,
waiting a
well,
couple years, hopefully there's a vaccine by then and we can all travel again.
yeah.
And
I hope
if
so.
you each bring a bottle, I'll be okay with that.
Whatever you
You
want,
guys-
Mike.
Do you guys think that
Whatever.
the
Doesn't matter.
younger drinkers today, people younger than us,
Watch
are-
yourself, Aaron. I'm
I know,
definitely the
Yeah.
youngest person on this call.
All right, that's Susannah, but who else?
younger than Susannah?
I
Are
think
they-
I'm the oldest.
Yeah, that's debatable.
Yeah.
You definitely. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, Joanne. You definitely don't look the oldest
No,
by any means.
We
that's
we
me.
are splitting hairs at this point.
Did I hear you say that you're 34? Yes, that sounds about right.
No,
Ooh,
I
yummy.
look like crap for that age, but I look fantastic for 54.
Oh
Hell
you're not
yes,
the-
you do.
Yeah, you're not. Yeah, you're not.
Us.
She's definitely not the oldest.
I look like crap for 53, so okay. I'm 110. I'm
I have no-
110. Do I look
I have-
good? I think
I have no
so.
Mike,
comment
you
on
look
age. Just-
amazing. No
Okay, so what do you guys
decomposition
say about
at
young
all.
drinkers?
So do you guys think
I'm the
that
third oldest person in the U.S. Don't I look good?
you were in the Civil War, right?
Who, Mike?
I fought for the North, though. I fought for the North.
Good
Oh,
choice.
please.
Good pick.
He
Do
only
you
goes with
guys
the winners.
I fought
find?
for the Germans in World War I and World War II. I chose poorly.
Do you find that the younger drinking
Age
consumer,
demographic.
is smarter now about spirits than they were 5 or 10 years ago? Oh, I see a head shaking and a this way and a this way.
I will say two words.
Well,
Yes and no.
Pickleback. Pickleback.
Well, but there
Anyone
was.
asking for a pickleback is
Let me-
not smart enough to drink.
Let me rephrase
all
that
right,
question.
Mike, you are 10 years out of date with that reference, first of all.
Pickleback.
Nobody's drinking
Oh,
pickleback
You know,
anymore.
FYI, Mike
still
only
are down
listens to
here.
groups that are only listens to music that from singers that are dead.
There you go. All of his references are 10 years out of date.
Hank Williams, Jimi Hendrix. No, I don't know.
Well, let me rephrase that, because there's always going to be the whatever the era's fireball is. Forget those folks. But what about? There you go. There you go. So what about the
Or maybe
the
they just have more money.
Well, maybe that's the
We
problem.
definitely don't have more money. I bet all y'all have nice funded 401ks or other retirement accounts, possibly with matching from your employers, and maybe you have mortgages that are mostly paid off, and really good health insurance plans.
Girl, we got 20 years on you.
I have none of those things.
Yes.
But those things also don't exist anymore for people in their 20s and 30s. There is no employer matching. It's really freaking hard to find a health insurance plan in America that won't bankrupt you, and forget trying to have a mortgage.
Come to Canada. Come to Canada.
Joanne, will you adopt me?
The difference here is that Wendy tells me I don't need to worry about retirement.
Yeah, because you'll be dead.
Not sure what that means. But
that's what I say to my wife all the time.
Don't worry about it.
I say the same thing.
She's already taken. She's made a plan for you, Mike.
Yes.
She's made a nice plan.
She's
for
ran
you.
the life table and said, Thursday's your day.
So back to your question, I really don't think it's an age demographic thing. I think some people take the time to educate themselves, and some people just drink whiskey for the sake of drinking whiskey, and some people drink it because they think it's luxury, and some people drink it because their fathers drank it. Like, I think today's whiskey fabric looks different than when we first started, honestly. But a whiskey drinker is a whiskey drinker is a whiskey drinker, and I will easily drink with someone who's 21 and who's doesn't know anything, or drink with someone who's 54 who doesn't know anything. You know, it's me.
Are those categories that you just kind of labeled really quickly there? Are some of those getting bigger or smaller? Are those folks that are just the college drinking guys who don't care what they're drinking? Is that a smaller percentage of the drinking public? And those guys that are really interested, who are really excited and want to learn, is that number getting bigger or smaller, do you think?
I can only speak from personal experience. And it's like when I'm at the front of a class and I've got 75 people sitting in a room, I meet all walks of life. I meet the guy or the girl who it's like baby pictures. They come up to you after the show and they're showing you all, and I bought this one and I own this one and I have that one and I tried this one in Germany. Or you have the brand new people that don't have a clue and just showed up at your class because a friend bought a ticket and they're like, oh, this was really cool. I really enjoyed this. I don't know anything about, and they don't know how to pronounce any of the words, and they don't.
Oh, neither do we.
And then you have the college dipshits, excuse my language, who are like, yeah, I paid $85 and I'm going to drink $85. So I mean, you know, it's all walks of life. There's really no, to me, there's no finite definition of where this is going just yet. What I can say is in the last 5 years, the demographic of women has changed drastically. I can't speak for the United States, but here in Canada, it's like 40% of people that are going to whiskey festivals now are women between the ages of 25 and 55 and almost 60, actually, to be quite honest. And that is like stunning and amazing to me, to have all these young women coming in, and they're not there to get drunk. They're there because they want to learn, and they've got money in their pockets. Like
Susannah, you know, women, the group Women Who Whiskey, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
WWW? Yeah. I know that the group here, or there's a couple of groups here in LA, they are very, very knowledgeable.
Mm-hmm.
They are very knowledgeable, and they're all over the country, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It's like a sort of autonomous pockets. And
Yep.
the original chapter was started here in New York by a woman named Julia Ritz-Toffley. I think overall, whiskey drinkers are a more educated bunch now than they were 10 years ago. There are more, just in general, right? To generalize about the entire demographic of people who drink whiskey, they know more than they did 10 years ago. There are more resources for them. I mean, think about when we all got to know each other. There were lots of different little whiskey blogs, right? And we all learned from each other's blogs, and we talked to each other, and we were on Twitter doing our tweet tastings. And there were a couple of magazines and sort of big websites, but not at the level it is now. There's so much more education available now, and it's crossed from specialist magazines in the mainstream. You see whiskey being covered in major newspapers and magazines, in print and online, in a way that a generation ago they were covering wine, and they're still covering wine. But now whiskey and other spirits, I see tequilas being covered, maybe occasionally a gin or a rum, but largely whiskey. People are interested. People want to know, and that is a generational shift. And it's not necessarily about being young, but it is about being within the generation of millennial times, right? So from 2000 to the last 20 years, where our access to information has exploded, and our access to other people has become so much more facilitated and so much easier through the internet. And I think that's, that has driven this desire. That has driven the ability to learn, and the desire to learn. If you're excited about something, that just feeds on itself. That just builds a cycle that never stops.
I think
there's one big downside though. He's driven up the price. That's the only downside, really.
Oh.
Yeah. The for sure that is a huge downside. But on the other hand, maybe the whiskey was underpriced before.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like, if we want to go into the economics of it, I think we have to do a lot more analysis.
Yeah.
I think a broader look at it is that we've become, or the food culture has exploded in the last 5 to 10 years. And one niche of foodie culture is spirits and cocktails, and whiskey is a sub niche. And people want to know what they're eating. They want to experience new things, and whether it's from a food truck or a 5-star restaurant, and whether it's from a small craft distiller or a whiskey festival, or their friend told them about a whiskey. It's just, I think there's this culture that's worldwide where people want to experience different things that go into their bodies to consume, and that's a good thing. And they want to learn about how that burrito was made in East LA, and how that whiskey was made in a suburb of Toronto.
Good night, Sam.
Good night, Sam. Sweet dreams.
All right, Sam might be the oldest one here.
Whiskey dreams.
He
might be.
Y'all, this is literally hours past my bedtime.
Yeah, me too.
Me too.
It's actually past midnight here, but Sam made a good point while we were talking about that. He said that his son started drinking whiskey because Sam drinks whiskey. See, but he can only buy what he can afford.
Yep.
So again, there's that. It's different for everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, I know, like I say, women my age. I mean, I'm well established in my career. I'm an empty nester now. I have no children at home anymore. I've got all kinds of money in my pocket, and
You
nobody
braggart.
to my
Oh, you
pocket,
braggart.
right? It's great.
Oh, stop it!
I have a 7th grader.
Grandchildren.
You suck.
I laugh at you.
Hey, so do I.
I have no children.
So
at
then
all.
you know that she's tough.
We like you a lot.
This is the problem with millennials. We cannot afford children.
Well,
So-
that's yeah. Well,
Hey,
that's
you want to buy a couple?
Bummer. We got no retirement accounts. We got no kids.
oh, we
got a
can
couple
rent
of
some.
months.
Work till we
Yeah.
die.
We could lease you. We could do a lease to own
Yeah, I
program.
can. I got a couple. I can definitely rent out.
Yeah. He's my whiskey bear. He'd come up, bring you whiskey. He'd like Canada. He's good.
Well, that's an interesting point. Whether the 30 and under crowd are going to be able to support this industry long term because of the cost.
Yeah.
It'll correct.
You know,
It'll correct.
at some point-
If I mean, like Joanne said, the prices are getting out of hand in Canada. I certainly think the prices in some sectors have gotten out of hand here. If you guys ever read the Diving for Pearls blog by Michael Kravitz,
Mike's
I love every
He still lives
January,
here in LA.
February. He does the. Did he move? Where did he move to?
He lives in he moved to Ohio a couple years ago.
Poor soul. I love he does this analysis of what the SWA publishes about exports, but also of the prices of a variety of common expressions. And I just love seeing the price changes, the fluctuation in his analysis. And you can see the companies that have really hiked it up. Edrington comes to mind as just like going through the roof on Highland Park and Macallan. I think largely to pay for Macallan's, shining distillery.
Sure,
and then you see the other
and
ones
the bottles. Sure.
Yeah, but you see other companies that have really tried hard to keep things steady, and I think they deserve credit too. I don't want to speak out of turn because I haven't looked at the chart in almost a year, but I think, like, for example, Glenmorangie Company is one that has kept a lot of its expressions. They've taken price a little bit, but kept them fairly affordable. I mean, when people ask for recommendation, I'm always like, just pick a Glenmorangie off the shelf. You're not going to overpay. It's going to taste really good. The quality is always there, and I think that it's a good faith sort of. They're playing the long game. They're looking at it as these crazy prices are not sustainable. Scotch may lose share to bourbon, or even other spirits categories, and so they need to like keep their faithful customers and keep themselves in a relevant space on the shelf.
That wee beastie's $40. That wee beastie's $40, $45.
Yeah.
Yeah, 40,
5-year-old
$45,
Ardbeg.
$48. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
it's a great whiskey.
It's really
It's
good.
delicious.
It's really
Oh my God. It's
I need to get another
shocking
bottle.
how good it is.
Yeah, I know. Well,
Yeah.
I think I'm relatively positive about the spirits industry and whiskey. I do worry that there's a bust coming, and the pandemic's not going to help. There's going to be.
But again, don't call it a bust. Call it a correction.
A correction. Yep. And I think the folks that were undercapitalized, like in the restaurant business, they before they weren't going to survive,
Sure.
and this will make them not survive quicker. But I'm generally excited about stuff that's out there.
Well,
there's too much, but you go into a big box
No
store.
such thing.
There is. I don't know. I don't know how these guys down here, they're beer drinkers, and I'm not. And I walk into a Total Wine or a Bevmo, and I see all the beer, and I just my head spins. I can't.
Oh,
even,
it's ridiculous.
it's
You just
insane.
can't keep track.
How many
I can't
beers
keep track
do
of
we
what's going on
need?
in our backyard. We've
Yeah.
got like 20 breweries, probably within 10 miles of us,
Yeah.
and I haven't been to any of them or heard of half of them.
Yeah, and you
Not
may
at all.
not hear about them again in 5 years.
True.
We lost you, Angelo. Can't hear you.
Never liked him anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
Angela, you've got to kill that headset, man. Can't hear you.
Now I'm reading his lips. He's like, "Come on."
Come on.
He's basically the worst. I'm gonna talk for him. I really don't think any of this stuff works well, and I drink water mostly. So
I like beer.
I am a poser.
All right, I got a question for you, ladies. What's the most disgusting tasting note you've ever given or read?
Hello?
Hello,
He's back.
Hi,
back
hello.
we hear you.
The most disgusting tasting note ever given or read. I don't read other
Hello?
people's tasting notes, so I'm gonna have to think about.
You don't read other tasting notes.
Hello?
No, fuck that, man. I
Can you hear
spend
me?
all my life thinking about and
can hear
tasting
you.
whiskey.
You did at some point.
I do not have the yes at some point, but my memory. Look, I've been drinking whiskey for a long time. My memory does not stretch back to those moments of reading other
To
people's
Maybe it's-
tasting
today,
notes.
Maybe it's all the alcohol.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you now.
see,
We can hear you
Yay!
now.
We can
See.
hear you.
Anyway, what was I saying?
You
Oh,
gotta,
whiskey.
you gotta,
We're
you
past
gotta
what
get
you were
rid of
saying.
that headset.
They're not
man.
mine. They're not
We're
mine.
on. We're on to the next question.
we're done with you.
Yeah.
Worst
We're done with
tasting it ever.
Tasting
Fine. I'm
note.
gone. That's it. I'm out. I'm out.
I mean, so I can.
Bye.
I never liked him anyway.
I never really
he lives
liked
next
him.
door to me. I have to be nice to him.
Yeah, I
Screw him and horsey ridden on.
Why are you guys so nice to him, anyways? I don't understand.
Because he does all the technical stuff and we're too
Oh.
lazy to do it.
He can send me to the
Oh.
green room.
The
Oh, jeez. You guys
Oh,
might be doing
man,
the show
now-
by yourself in a second.
You're
the
finally
worst tasting
outnumbered,
note
Eric.
I've ever given is oh my god, it's just the two of us. Yeah,
It's
we're
just
the
you and me. Let's
girls.
talk shit. Damn it, he's back.
Oh, man.
He has
Oh,
power.
The show got
we're
infinitely
gonna
better.
talk shit about y'all.
The show got so much better after all those
We
faces
can
went
still
away.
hear you.
Look at all the likes we
Did
got
I-
while you guys were gone.
Did I mention how good looking he is? He's really good, very good looking.
No, you didn't actually.
Worst
I'm not-
tasting note I've ever given.
I'm not sharing
Yeah.
my Wawa gift card with you now.
The
Forget it.
Fishki whiskey.
What'd you say?
The Fishki whiskey.
I've heard of it.
Oh,
What is it?
Fishki. Oh.
Tell me more. Tell me more.
It tastes like it was aged in a herring barrel. It's like absolutely disgusting.
Because it was.
But that's only because it was, right. Yeah.
That's
Horrible.
Mark Gillespie's worst tasting note.
Yep.
He told us
Fish
that
and
before.
diesel fuel. It was
Oh.
really bad. It was really, really bad. That's probably the worst one I've ever given. And some of the worst I've ever read are courtesy of the name that shall not be said. So, probably some of the worst I've ever read.
Rhymes with slim.
Right.
Rhymes
with
with slime.
Slime.
Something.
I can't think of a specific like worst tasting note I've ever given, but some things stick in my mind. I have had a lot of craft whiskeys I would describe as vegetal, like vegetable peelings or maybe even compost bin. Really bad, just not. It's very rotten, kind of.
I think that the
notes.
turpentine note is the one that bothers
Fuel.
me the most. Yeah.
Fuel.
Yeah. Not. I mean, sometimes I like the oily notes, but I don't like turpentine. That's one of my things that just
That's fair.
doesn't bother.
I had a
bothers me.
spirit. It wasn't a whiskey, but it was a spirit distilled from sunflower seeds.
Ooh.
Oh,
Really?
I had the same one. I had it with
What was
you,
that?
I think.
No.
In New
I couldn't have given that to you because it's at the office. It's at the
where's-
office for hazing new employees.
Where's it from? What state is it from?
Georgia.
Okay, the one I had was from New York.
It wasn't a sunflower seed.
Sunflower
What did I give
seed.
that was bad?
No, you didn't give you didn't give it to me. I had it at Jubilee, and someone poured it. who was
Oh,
walking
okay.
around.
Yeah, I mean, I don't routinely give people things that I think are gross in my
No,
home.
you didn't.
I try to give them good things. No, but the sunflower seed thing was very strange and interesting. I know I said I'm a hot dog lover, hot dog connoisseur, if
Red
you
dye
will,
hot dog.
especially with the red dye number 10. this
Not number 9, not
spirit
number 11,
had
number 10.
had flavors of pickle relish and yellow mustard that really should in no way appear in an alcoholic beverage.
I've got
I just
new
didn't
nations in my
understand
fridge.
where it
that
was
have my name on
so tangy. Like tangy and mouth puckering and sour, but also like weirdly sweet and a little bit meaty. And I had no idea where any of this was coming from. It was so strange.
Because you wanted a hot dog, damn it.
No, everyone agreed with. I mean, we all had the same tasting notes. We were just like, "What is this bratwurst spirit thing?" We had it in a blind tasting of like Halloween House of Horrors, sort of like non-whiskey things that were weird.
That's disgusting, actually.
Yeah, it was pretty foul. I think we had to like go find a nice bottle of something to drink.
Have you guys had? I'm sure you have. This is quite. What do you guys think of the FWP at Bowmore's? Is that not a fan?
No,
because there's some people that love
well,
it.
I've only had a couple.
I've had a few.
I've had a few,
and it's
yeah,
not.
You know.
It's not completely off-putting, but
Well,
it's
well,
weird.
yeah.
Which
it tastes
Bowmore
like
do
Thrills
you
gum
use?
to me. I can't drink it. I just
Yeah.
can't. Period. Just,
And the sulfury is not always a good note for me.
the sulfury doesn't bother me.
That's interesting.
Sulfury
Well,
often bothers me, but I recognize it, and I'm like, okay, well, this is what's happening.
Yeah,
You push past it.
Sulfur.
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
A hint of it is okay. Beyond a hint is off-putting, I think, for me.
I have various degrees in my definitions, and it's one of the things that I'm sort of known for when I'm doing master classes is I give these very bizarre like tasting notes because I write what comes to mind, and my brain is just this bizarre like it goes back to my childhood being raised on a farm mostly, so I get these very strange like memories of, oh, this reminds me of, and I just write it down, right? So one of my favorite tasting notes from a sulfury perspective is, have you ever bought a steak and you bought it fresh, but then you got home and you just decided, I'm not going to cook that tonight, so you let it sit in the fridge for a couple of days?
Yes.
And then you take it out of the fridge on the third day and you kind of give it a smell and you're like,
That's not.
yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it's
It's probably
okay.
not good,
Cook
but
it
I'm
now.
giving it
Cook
to my
it.
kids, so it's okay.
I think it's okay. I'll feed it to the teenagers.
That's right.
So you're like,
Make it well done. You'll kill
I can
everything.
eat it, whatever.
that's my favorite sulfury note. That's my
that's
favorite
interesting.
sulfury note. Which is
Interesting.
bizarre. So
That's
I'm
really
going to
good.
ask a
Rotten
question to the
meat,
whole
sure.
panel. What was your best discovery for whiskeys in 2020 so far?
Ooh, in 2020.
Oh boy.
So I've done a bunch of tastings. Oh, the Million Greens.
That was very
really
good.
Yep,
Okay.
I've done a bunch.
I like the Waterford.
Me too.
Oh, that was good too.
That
Yeah.
was very good. I like the what was the one you said? The Journeyman. Journeyman. I didn't try it till this year, so I thought that was pretty good too.
Yeah, but that's been around. Yeah.
No, I know. What else do we really like?
What's that like?
Where are we?
Journeyman.
The Silver Cross. I think that was the
Good.
one you liked the best.
That was very
Silver
good.
Cross.
So
If
I've
ever
done-
you do get a chance to go to Ireland, you have to go to the Waterford Distillery. It is by far the best experience I have ever had at a distillery.
we need Raj to hook us up.
Oh, big time. And when we left the distillery, I had a friend of mine that I was traveling through Ireland with, and we got in the car and we just sat there I couldn't even drive. I was such on an adrenaline high because my brain.
I thought you were going to say you're so drunk.
No.
See,
I was actually driving, so I didn't do a lot of drinking, but the drinking I did do was quality. I was so high and just so overwhelmed with what we were just presented with from a scientific perspective that I couldn't comprehend. I couldn't wrap my head around what we had just experienced. Like, it is by far the best distillery experience I have ever had, ever. So if you have a
you
chance,
see, Gino and I must lie to our significant others and say, I'm going to an insurance convention, he's going to some other convention,
Yeah.
and go to Ireland and be
just go
like,
to Ireland.
yeah,
Yeah, we're not. It's
Ireland.
a business thing. We got to do this for business.
Yep.
In order to go and do that, because that would be fantastic. But our wives, I may have stressed earlier that I'm a short time frame with her.
Bring him with.
That might accelerate it.
Bring him with. They can shop in the Waterford Crystal
She's
store.
an actuary. She ran the numbers. She knows the date and the time.
You're gone.
And she's given it to me and told me I'm like a loaf of bread. There's the expiration date. And we
You are a
kinda know
little
what it
moldy.
is.
You're a little moldy. I'll give you that.
I think the one distillery that I've kind of hooked up with this year that really impresses me is Paul John.
I was going to say Paul John was really good.
Paul John's good.
That 2020 Christmas was really nice.
Yeah, the 2020 Christmas
that was really
just,
all of them were really good. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're really good.
and I think
That's a good distillery visit.
You were there, right?
I was there. Yes.
Yeah. We're pretty close out here on the West Coast with the West Coast.
Karai.
Karai.
Right.
Who's the ambassador
Kurai.
out here? He's part of our whiskey club out here, and he's I don't know. They're doing some good stuff. They really are. So I guess that's my big find for the year.
Sweet.
I already knew of them, but more so this year, I think. How about you guys?
I had to look it up to make sure I got the name of the distillery right because it's fairly generic. But I had an American single malt from Grand Canyon Distillery, and they're tiny. This was like a 600 bottle run, so itty bitty.
Arizona?
No, I think it's on the New Mexico side.
Oh wow!
Or is it the Utah?
No, I think it's New Mexico.
Is it?
Grand Canyon Distillery?
I'll look them
I'll
up.
tell you, maybe
You
it's Arizona.
talk. I'll look. I'll producer. I'll look.
Grand Canyon. It is Arizona. Okay, it's Arizona. Yeah. Okay. It's Arizona. Anyway, that was great. Cedar Ridge in Iowa released a
Cedar
single
Ridge is
malt
good.
this year called the Quintessential that blew me away. Totally. Just, Cedar Ridge is good stuff. This was great stuff. This was like above and beyond. I was very, very impressed with that single malt.
Johanne?
There's just
How about
been
you?
a lot of good
Anything
craft
that-
things this year.
Blew me away this year.
Yeah. Come back right at you. It is your question. You can answer.
God, why are you guys asking me these questions?
We didn't.
You started it.
Oh, right.
We didn't ask the question.
We're horrible. We're just
horrible.
horrible people.
We're horrible
Let me
listeners.
think.
It's a mirror.
It's
Rubber
a fairly new Canadian distillery.
Ooh.
He's been operational, I'm gonna say, for about 6 or 7 years now. He scored really big with a really great gin right off the get-go, and then started releasing his single malts a couple of years later, like 3-4 years later type of thing. I tried one called 7,000 Feet, and I picked it blind in a lineup of 6, and it was like that's the winner. That's the one that was it. There was just nothing about it that it was just there's no way that would have scored in my brain that it was a Canadian single malt. Like, it's just not like any other Canadian single malt I tried. So it
What's
was
the name?
really.
What's the name of the distillery?
The name of the distillery is, I'm going to try to say it properly, but it's like, it sounds like it. If I phonetically say it, it's like dub glass, but that's not how you pronounce it. It means like black water.
Black. Well, dub means like Dublin.
Black. Yeah.
River. Yep.
Yeah.
Dark.
Yeah. It's a.
DUBH
let me grab
glass.
my
Is this the replacements? Are we talking Are we quoting the replacements?
Look up DUB. I think
The
it's
Dubliners are the blacks of Ireland.
I think it's DUBH.
The All Blacks. Pick the All Blacks.
That's New Zealand. Come on.
All Blacks.
Yeah. Who's a rugby fan? Anyone? Bueller? No? Okay, just me.
All Blacks.
Bueller.
Bueller.
When I was a kid, my dad, my summer vacations were my dad dragging the family to rugby tournaments so he could play rugby while my mom took care of the kids. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's literally DUBH.
Yeah.
And then the second word is GLAS, but it's pronounced
Douglas.
like Douglas.
Douglas. What?
Douglas.
Douglas?
That's how we
From
pronounce
Douglas.
From
it.
the Dark Water.
Douglas.
Dark water,
See,
yeah.
see,
Yeah.
That sounds like a
Scam.
lie.
it's a scam.
I
I'm
like
sorry.
it. It's my
Well, that's what
brother-in-law's
Dublin-
name.
Dublin. That's what Dublin is. It's the Dark River.
Dublin's a scam.
Anyway,
It's a scam.
if you have a chance to try them, they're a British Columbia distillery. They're really great.
Huh.
There he is.
Cool.
That's
Very
Stevie.
cool.
Everybody calls him Steve.
From the
First
Dark
name is
Water,
Grant.
right?
This guy is he the
Yep.
guy?
Grant
And
Stevely.
he's in BC.
One man operation.
Wow.
Fascinating.
Good for him.
Yeah.
He's a fearsome looking fella.
The gin is really
Yeah.
good too.
Huh.
So that I would say that was probably my biggest.
Gin.
My
Hey,
biggest
hold
wow
on a
moment
second
of
here.
2020.
What's the name of this one? See that one?
What one?
What was it? It was.
What are you
was it
pointing
called?
at?
Wait, hold on.
Oh, there's his gin.
Noteworthy gin.
Noteworthy gin.
It's
Don't
very
worry.
noteworthy.
You're good. I can
Noteworthy
read that.
hand
Hand
rub?
rub. Hey now.
Excuse me.
Well,
What the heck is that
Hold
about?
on.
Whoa.
Hey now.
bunk.
I don't want to hear about anybody's noteworthy hand rubs.
I'm just
Thank you.
saying. Virgin,
So,
virgin spirits barley. Jesus.
If I
Where is
go
this guy?
to the distillery, is there a special section for me? I'm not sure.
Just
Hey
saying.
now.
Welcome to Canada.
Don't leave.
Go to
don't
the
leave.
bathroom, the stall black.
Well, folks,
Hey,
I
now.
Lady, this
have
I was just
a
gonna say this was been
yoga
so
class
fun.
tomorrow morning,
So
Good
good to
luck
drink
with that.
ahead of that.
and it's almost 1:00
Enjoy.
here. So
Oh, she's on like this other time zone.
I
She's-
am.
You're like on this the north. What's that called? The Atlantic time zone, correct?
AST, Atlantic Standard
Yes.
Time.
Yes.
It's made up. I don't believe it.
Well,
Faces.
this has been
Narnia.
so
It's all
freaking
Narnia.
great.
This
Ladies,
has been
we cannot
wonderful.
we cannot thank you guys enough for popping on and
Yeah,
spending
thank you
the
so much.
3
This is
hours
great.
with us, and this was just fun
Great.
catching up and seeing you guys, and we want to do this again one day.
Sounds good to me.
Hell yes. This has been
To
a tonic.
old friends, new whiskeys, old festivals, 2013, moving forward. May we see each other again very shortly.
Cheers.
Do it in person.
Cheers.
Absolutely.
Boy, she just made that up off the top of her head, y'all.
She did. She's like the
I
Simon
did.
Brooking of Canadian whiskey of toasts.
I know.
Ladies, good night. Stay safe
I love it.
and have a great Thanksgiving, Susanna.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
You guys
Bye-bye.
too,
Night,
fellow
everybody.
Americans. Nice
Thank
to see
you.
you all.
Safe.
Good night.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Good night.
Good night.
Hello, boys. You there?
Take us offline.
Angelo, we cannot hear you. Are we still live?
We're not live. Take us off live.
Good night. Cheers. And we're out.
Run the credits.
Run those credits.